Yeah, buddy. It is the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. Gail Bennington on maternity leave right now. Chris, are you running the levels from in there on the...
Yes, I am, yes.
It sounded way off to me. Vito was coming in, sounded like he was screaming. The music could barely be heard. But I can't trust the studio, can I?
No, this studio is very weird. It always has been.
That's not exactly doing radio. I'll just point that out. You know, I was introduced the other day as a legendary radio guy, and then to come back into this, it makes me feel like my life is a sham. All right, Gail Bennington, I was with her and the baby yesterday. So damn much fun, other than the Eagles losing, but so great to play with that kid. I'm going to let everybody know right now that the Thanksgiving show, we've got a date, and we're going to be announcing ticketing next Monday. But to get early access to tickets to the Bennington family Thanksgiving, go to benningtonshow.com, because we'll be announcing it then before you can actually even do any ticketing. So make sure you get on Chris Stanley's little list. I'm going to be, I'm going home to Poughkeepsie. Back to Poughkeepsie after all this time. I'll be at the Laugh It Up Comedy Club in Poughkeepsie in upstate New York. LaughItUp.net for tickets. LaughItUp.net for tickets. Now, the other night I was in Newtown, Pennsylvania, and I will say this: when I mentioned the name of somebody from this program, the place went insane.
Really?
Who do you guys think it was?
I'm going to say it was Earl.
Earl, who do you think?
I'm going to say Chris Stanley.
And Vito, who do you think?
I think Earl.
You guys are correct. People went crazy.
Really?
When I meant, yeah, and like it wasn't. I didn't even get to a punchline of the joke. I just brought it up, and
Wow.
applause break.
Thank you,
Applause break.
Newtown, Pennsylvania.
Let me tell you something, Earl. I haven't talked to you about this. So I go into Newtown, Pennsylvania. On the way there, it occurred to me I didn't know where Newtown, Pennsylvania was. I thought I was going to Newtown Square, which is in Delaware County. And I went to Newtown, Pennsylvania, which is in Bucks County. And it's this old theater, and it was really, it was a really cute place. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, let's go in and do the act. And I go up on stage. A minute into the show, a guy in the front row says, "Hey, Ron, it's me, Turtle." This is a guy that I was friends with when I was younger. Haven't seen him in well over 30 years. Old party buddy of mine. And Rap is in the audience. And then Smitty and Wardy are in the audience, and they're yelling out to me. So these are guys from my young days. One of them, I'll just say, has been out, as you know what I mean, for a lot of years. Mm-hmm. After a triple rehab, back in the game, doing very, very well. But it was one that, some people were acting like they gave up on. I don't know. I can't even explain this. But instead of doing the fine act that I've been putting together at the Comedy Cellar, I just started telling stories about these guys. And it was one of the absolute most fantastic nights of my life. Just seeing these guys come back like this. It's so interesting. I don't know if everybody feels this way about their wild and innocent and East Street Shuffle buddies, but I mean, I would literally do anything for these guys, even though I haven't seen. They're closer to me than people that I see every day. I just love these guys. By the way, 4 Smith sisters were there too, which was just unbelievably fantastic.
All 4.
It's a family of 11, Earl. I mean, Catholics were the original black people. You forget that. And Wardy and Smitty were first cousins. Smitty had 11, like their lives were, but I got into these stories. Some of them I've just like kind of mentioned, but I could see the look on the audience's faces that didn't grow up with us and see that not everybody did all those things. But we went through a ton of stories and it was so funny. I'm going to show you a picture, Earl. This is, I don't know why Rap ran off so fast. I'm so mad about that, but I'm going to get together with him again soon. But I want to find this picture. And show it to you. This is guys that easily, it's got to be way more than that. I haven't seen in all these years. And now here we are, basically looking like, well into the game, right?
Yeah.
But you know me all this time. Look at the way I'm looking at Wardy. You've never seen me look at a person like that, right?
Yeah.
I can barely look at this picture and stand it because, those dudes that you grew up with, I have this real theory about this. I think they raise you as much as your own parents do. You know what I mean? I think there's no way I can get out of everything that I end up doing, like this kind of talking. And when I do, it's based on the way I grew up with these guys and the way I talk to them and the way we ball busted and had each other's backs. But the guy next to us, the taller guy, that's Smitty right there. This was the hardest hitting fucking dude. I've never seen anybody hit anybody as hard in my life as I've seen him hit people. And, this was a guy who fucking had my back when I was a young wise ass shooting off my mouth. You were literally going to have to go through the Smitty to get to me. So to see these guys again, and I can't believe I didn't tell this, but one time I told Mike Tyson that I know a guy who could knock him out. I told him during I think it was we were on the O&A show together, or maybe it was just the O show then. I don't know where we were in the concept. But during the commercial, I'm like, I know a dude that can, knock you out, which boxers don't always like to hear. And I ended up saying to Mike, I didn't say I could knock you out. I said, I know a dude who can knock you out.
I said to make that clear.
Yeah, he was taking the attitude like if somebody could have knocked him out, he would have heard of him. And I'm saying, I know one guy. So I go to, I go to smack him like hitting a bag of cement. Just as solid could be. Like, we've never, we don't know anybody who's fucking, like, you could hit and it felt like you're just smacking concrete. And this is a guy just lived a couple of blocks from me. And those were his sisters that were with him, and they were all fantastic. And they were yelling out and just having fun.
Like a homecoming show.
It really was like literally an unplanned homecoming show. And I haven't been able to get rid of it since. It's just stuck. It's just stuck with me. And it was like totally, I don't know if I could have planned that show. Like, I don't know. And any of the people that weren't there, I don't think you could get it. And the people that were there that didn't grow up with us, I think that they did realize, you know what I mean? Just like what a strange, funny show that was. It was almost like if you went to the bar and saw your old buddies and you went into that stuff. But these were people who didn't know all those people. But I feel like it all came across. But how fucking, this is the thing about Turtle. He's there by himself. He's sitting in between two couples. I mean, directly in front of me in this theater. And a minute in, hey, Ronnie, it's Turtle. I'm like, what?
He made sure he had a perfect seat.
Yeah, but he's not even with anybody. He didn't even know the other guys were there. And this isn't really that much closer to where I grew up than I am now. It was crazy. So, like, there was at no point, like, he felt like he was in a conversation with me through the whole show. And it was like, unbelievably a unique night. And I hadn't expected that at all.
Beyond cosmic, man.
Yeah, man, it really was this weird thing. And this is funny. Going down there, I'm listening to Deep Tracks, right? I hear a certain song that took me back to that fucking time in my life, right? And I always think, fuck, that guy that said he was there is gone. I wanted to talk to him. But that shit, when I hear this certain song, it always takes me right back to those fucking teenage years, right? And then to run into those dudes, man. And see, I'm at the point now. It's like, when you're a certain age, you're like, oh shit, everybody's looking older, and is that weird? Now I'm just glad to see who's alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just, very little of it has to do with natural causes. I'm just happy to see. And the fact that, Wardy's doing fucking so great. And I mean, his humor is there. And, I was even thinking about this. Rap is the guy that we thought was gone at fucking 21, 22. And now here he is all these years later. I mean, he had fucking made a turn away from anything you could do. You know what I mean? Like, he was heading for real fucking, no, he wasn't heading for it. He was in real fucking trouble. And he came out of it, and is probably like the fucking most level of all of us. It's hard to believe. And I told you, one of the guys got fucking whacked, was just, living on the dark side for a lot of years. And I said to Kathy Smith, I go, did you ever give up on him? And she's like, nope. Not even, not even a stumble. Every time that thought it was going to get better and failed. And that's what that shit is. I mean, these are the guys in my life who could say, uh-oh, I have a dead body in my fucking basement. I'll be right over. Even if I haven't seen it for decades. Love that way, that you do not need to see or talk to, and that love stays the same. It's just, that was an amazing night for me, and I really, really appreciate it. And the fact that it happened in front of an audience, and then we didn't lose that audience, like the audience was able to jump into it, was really interesting. Hey, Lee, what's up, buddy?
Hey, still got that word in your back pocket?
Always got that word in my back pocket.
Man, that was a great show. I'm not kidding. The roof went off on that thing, and to hear those stories, I've heard a few on the radio here and there, but to hear them in front of those guys was awesome, and they had a great time, and you could kind of see you going in and out of your act of like, oh shit, I just remembered another one. Turtle, remember when you did?
I had a memory come back to me with Turtle. Well, first of all, I did a joke about Emerson Lake Palmer was in the punchline, and he was like, I was at that show with you. And then I remembered we were at this show, and this is how fucking funny Turtle is. So we had smoked all of this angel dust, and it's like a trippy thing, but you could just get locked up on it, like literally paralyzed. And he's in the parking lot, and all the other cars are leaving, and we ain't going anywhere because we're fucking just knick-knacked out, right? But he's not moving, like he's literally paralyzed from this drug, and he's going like this, oil can, oil can. And I'm like, how fucking funny do you have to be? But I forgot this part of the story. I mean, I'm in like fucking 10th grade or something when this happened. I go home from the Spectrum that night. My mom was still awake, and she says, "How was the show?" And asked me about Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And I told her that I could see backstage, and there were these men back there with these big machines and computers that they were turning wheels, and they were wearing lab coats, and they were the ones making the music. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer was fake, right? So I went on telling this whacked out fucking angel dust story. Then I go to bed. I get up in the morning for breakfast. I got to go to fucking school. My mom's making breakfast. Me and my dad are sitting there, and she goes, "Did you tell your father about how you saw backstage and those men were making all the real music and they were wearing lab coats?" My dad just fucking turns around and looks at me. He goes, "Is that right?" I go, I don't know. I don't know. But I forgot that part of the story. Like, here's the other thing, Lee. Even with all those,
You were having a good time up there. And by the way, the last thing that you did up there, my girlfriend shot a little video of it if you want it. We're not going to post it or anything, but it was
here's what I did. I brought two of the guys up. We used to fucking Chris is just laughing.
This is amazing.
But we used to, when we drank, we would end the night with this fucking Irish song that Smitty's mom had taught him when he was a kid, and then he taught us. And then, like, they didn't know it, I didn't know it, so I just brought them up, and we went out singing this crazy song from when we were kids. So, I mean, like, literally, if I was making a movie about those days, this would be the ending scene where you're using the real guys and they still like think all this stuff is funny. But thank you so much, Lee. Nick, what's up?
Hey, Ronnie B. First time, long time. Hey, Saturday night, outstanding, like, unbelievable night. I mean, you need to take all those Twin Oaks and y'all need to just tour the whole crew.
I can't, I can't tell you how crazy it was. And then we ended up standing out front for a long time. More stories are coming in. The listeners are mixing in and out of us. Somehow, Rap, the only Italian, does an Italian goodbye. You know what I mean? Like, he leaves in the Irish goodbye gimmick. Chris, I want you to just come over and see this fucking picture, because you know me. You know how fucking, like, ridiculously, idiotically guarded I was in my life. Just to see me not be fucking guarded is so... It was weird for me to see this picture. But first of all, too, this is the front of that theater with those bulbs hanging. Like, how cinematic is that? And you just knocked it out. Just the fact, and that's the guys. And this one guy, I'm sure it's been closer to 40. These guys are literally helped form my fucking personality that I ended up doing for a living. These stories are what made it for me. By the way, Nick, I would tell those stories even back when they were happening. It wasn't like, it was after the fact that I realized how crazy it all was. You know what I mean? Like, even then I knew. But these dudes are just unbelievable, and to see them again. That's Turtle right there.
Okay.
Who I haven't seen in forever. And this is Smitty that I told you was a badass, and still I think he could come and wipe us out. And that's Wardy, who literally looks just like his dad to me now. But look at the way I'm looking at him. I don't fucking have those kind of feelings. I can't fucking I can't format those kind of feelings now. I can't get it up for that. Here's Lou. Lou, how are you, darling?
Good. How are you doing?
So good.
That show was indescribable. I couldn't. I was trying to tell people about it, and it was so amazing. And to see you on that stage, you could see your emotion in it.
I don't understand how those memories would come to me when I was on stage. Like, some of those things, and some of these stories would would finish themselves with the person. Like, I'm like, because I was going to tell this story about visiting Rap in jail. And I'm like, Rap, what did you end up in jail for? And he just yells out, trying to blow up the police car. I'll go, yes. That's right.
The police car story. It was just unreal. The whole thing, the whole night was perfect. And you described it. I'm not sure if you said this already, but the audience didn't come for that show, but they'll never see another show like that. And
no,
I'm
that
so
kind of show, that kind of thing. I was not. I mean, I cannot tell you how stunned I was to look up and see people that I haven't seen in that many years. And then just to go back into why they were there in the first place, because we shared all this. But and how open they were about everything. You know what I mean?
They were so great.
No shame.
Yeah.
They were so great, too. I mean,
Yeah. I was like, Rob, who was the kid that you shot at? And he just yelled the name out. This kid, I don't know. I think he showed up to like Frank's house or something when... because he knows that Frank was dealing then. So, but he was still in school. And Rap just goes running out. Fucking the kid, when the gun goes off, the kid goes fucking ass over head. And they're like, is that it? Is that the end of it? Is this what a murder is? But the kid just dove when he heard the fucking shit. But, that was like 90 things leading into it. And not one of those stories was even a Don Vito story. Most of these guys, Rap is the only one who really hung out as much with Don Vito as we did. This was more of my neighborhood guys. It was insane.
And I just have to tell you real quick, it was my nephew's first comedy show ever.
Yeah.
And he's hooked. I told him, I was like, you're not going to see another show like this. Like he had so much fun.
He was in it, man.
He was in it, and he could not stop smiling for the next day. You know what I mean? He loved it.
All right, Lou, I hope we see you for Thanksgiving.
Oh, definitely coming for sure.
All right, see you, sweetie.
Bye.
Peace.
Yeah, bye.
Sita, you're on the Bennington Show.
Hey, Ron. I was at the show on Saturday with my husband and a friend who had never been to a comedy show before, and we've been fans since the 90s of you guys, and so I knew all these characters that you were bringing up. Me and my husband are losing it. And and our friend is like, what's going on? But we got there super early to that theater because that's only 10 minutes from our house. And we saw the sisters come in and they were stopping everybody. Like, we're taking this whole row. This is ours. It was the funny. I'm thinking they must know Ron because it was like such a group.
Dude, I haven't seen, one of those girls I went to the prom with, and she's but they're all. I mean, these are tough Irish girls, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the fact then they start yelling out Twin Oaks, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where's this going? But the fact that you're telling me that they were saying we're taking this whole row.
Oh yeah,
that's
they were
just
stopping
hilarious.
Well in advance, like, no, this is us. It's a big group coming. Don't keep moving, and it was awesome. It's like I got a picture with you. We got rid of our friend, and then I said to my husband, like, we got to go back. So we walked back to you and just watched you hold court with your friends and tell more stories. I could have just stayed all night.
Dude.
And we felt like we were high afterwards because we just were like, I don't know, it's just something about the electricity of the room with you and your friends and just the stories. It was just, honestly, it was like the greatest thing I've been to in a very long time.
I cannot, in front of this thing, look how these lights are hanging. Like, this is such a cinematic thing, and it was like a beautiful night. We hadn't seen these guys in forever. Everybody was, like I said, fairly happy to be alive, right?
Yeah.
After all the shit that we did. But also, there's a real weird pride to these stories. Like, maybe somebody would have told it a VFW thing 30 years after World War II. But our battle was in our own souls. You know what I mean? Our battle is what we did to ourselves and others.
Ron, did you notice that Turtle got a ticket for parking on a driveway?
Yeah, they just pulled up in front of the driveway. This fucking weird thing.
Yeah, he
parked in somebody's driveway.
That's great.
And it wasn't Turtle. It was one of the other guys who, as far as I know, ain't paying. Dude, that story about the girls just destroys me, though. This is our route.
Yeah. They're like, no. And they got there, right? We got there like 6:45, 7 o'clock. We got there really early, and they were right there marching in and holding court and not like standing up and blocking everybody to make sure they knew. Like they were each were like in a quarter of the seats, so they were blocking it. It was hysterical.
That is so funny. So funny. One of them was wearing an Eagles shirt, you know, just like big night out. Put on the championship gear. Thanks so much, Sita. Bye. Man, I love that they just came and act like this is our row.
That's great.
Yeah. Bob in Pennsylvania. What's up, buddy?
Hey, great show Saturday night, Ron. It was freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Dude, it was definitely Smitty, though. He was the one with the salmon-colored shirt.
Yeah.
Whatever, was it? Yeah, it was him who got the ticket because I was standing right there. And
No. That was Wardy. It was Wardy who got the ticket.
Was it? 'Cause
Yeah.
I swear to God, he came up there and he was like...
They might have been
sorry.
together. You know, they might have rode up together, but it was Wardy's car.
Yeah, well, I'll tell the
Wardy's-
Newtown police.
Yeah.
That, no, I'll tell the Newtown police I'm not going to get it paid. So, you know. So.
Yeah, let them know. You know, let them know the good news. There's fucking Turtle sitting right in front of me, who I haven't seen. He's the one I haven't seen the longest.
Well, dude, how about the guy who was like 300, 400 pounds that was sitting on the second level?
I heard he was bigger than that. There was a guy, when I got there, they said there was some guy who couldn't fit into the seats. It was like an old theater like Broadway is, right? And like at a certain point, I'm like, who's the guy? You know what I mean? I heard about this guy because they said he was really tall and a big guy too. And then they said that he had a bunch of tall boys inside a sweatshirt, which he came carrying in. And they had him up in the balcony.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Have a great
It was
show, guys.
fucking great. And I was thinking, oh man, I wish Big J was with me because then Chris would have shown up.
I should have been there.
Dude, I was thinking about you when it was happening because, you know, you've heard bits and pieces of these stories. But, you know, when you hear other people finishing that story or throwing in details that you forgot, then you know these are real things.
Well, you've talked about Smitty and Wardy many times. I would have loved to have met them.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, just seeing the pictures, fucking thrill.
Yeah, it was. I can't. It was the farthest thing from my mind. You know what I mean? And like the second I heard it, there was this mixture of this is amazing and oh shit, I'm not going to just sit and tell jokes to these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still had. I never probably wouldn't have went into telling the stories if Turtle didn't keep interrupting me. I feel like he had something. And here's the funny thing about him. He's wearing a Pink Floyd hat, right? Now I went to fucking, I figured that on stage, that you've heard me talk about that Pink Floyd show, right?
Yeah.
I was with him and Hang, but we met everybody from the neighborhood. And that entire place was tripping. But I had this memory on the way home. We were heading up this fucking road on a hill, and we'd already eaten acid, right? And coming the other way, I can remember this. There was a fucking big truck with a trailer in the back that was jackknifing, that was coming towards us, and we paid zero attention to it.
What the fuck?
We just kept going. I just
He still kept the hat.
yeah, he's still rocking the hat. You know why, Earl? His fucking Jethro Tull hat is at the fucking cleaners. It's so funny.
That's loyalty.
Oh yeah, no worries about that. Keith in Jersey, what's up?
Hey, I just wanted to say it was an amazing show. I mean, it was like you had just been taken down a rabbit hole or a time warp. It was incredible.
I felt like a kid almost immediately, and I almost felt like I got to relive my life in that moment. You know what I mean? I don't know whether it was because it was insane, but even going out front, I mean, the joyful feeling we just had of just seeing each other again is so Somebody said, you ever notice like at a funeral when someone and you get together with old friends and somebody always says, oh, we should do this, but at a better occasion. This is how that happened. This was the same feeling of not seeing guys in many, many years. And my biggest regret now is not seeing the Smith girls coming in and taking over the seating arrangements.
Yeah.
Why are they throwing bows as soon as they get there?
It's a big party.
I'll tell you, they had pretty good seats. I mean, you're like 10 rows back, centered. And then, when we were singing at the end of it, they were clapping and hooting and hollering. I mean, my heart. I can't even explain it. It's like whatever takes you back to that thing when you're so romantic about yourself at those days. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, when I was in high school, you know what I mean? Like, I can't fucking tell you how much fun I had with all those people. And I was trying to explain to them, we were as funny as any, you know what I mean? I know Adele, I know Norton. We were as funny as any people at a young age, just ball busting, making each other laugh. And if there would have been somebody around to say, hey guys, this is also a skill. This is a way that you could go on and make money the way Woody Allen did and Apatow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of, you guys are bad people, shut up. You're going to be expelled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody would have just said, this has value.
It's a path.
Yeah, harness it.
This is creativity. This is no different than if you guys started a band. Oh, it was fucking a hilarious night. Thank you so much, Keith.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks for coming out. And I'm always curious. Like, I was even going home going, was there even one person who went, what the fuck? Why is this a show?
Is this planned?
Yeah. If it was planned, it couldn't have went off, dude. I am telling you the absolute truth. If I would have planned that show, I would have tried too hard to make those stories into, show business instead of just like, basically, let me tell you something about this motherfucker.
And all those stories always tend to be like when things like got fucked up. Nothing like or almost getting into trouble and kind of like dodging trouble. Like those are always the best stories.
Yeah, except for like a lot of times I don't know why you could tell a fucking story about robbing a gas station and it would still be fucking hilarious, but it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that fucking story that I told, I could make the pictures in my fucking head of him looking around that Coke machine with a fucking gun up in the air, peeking around, looking at these guys. Oh my God, it was so goddamn funny then and now. But there was I'll never have another experience like that in my life. I never will have another experience like that in my life. And it's the one that you missed, Vito missed, Earl missed, because you guys serve two masters.
I serve but one master.
Really? Where were you with your master?
I was in Brooklyn.
Exactly. But when Jay's down there, you're like, oh, I'll be there. I'll ride down on the fucking SARS bus.
Mega bus. I don't know if the mega bus goes to Newtown.
Well, you could have taken that in the Newtown and then Gail just sent me this. They got this new thing for the baby to lay on that they saw. There's all these like nice things. It's called a lounger. But look how Birdie's laying on it.
Well, yeah, Birdie wants to be relaxed.
Birdie is the baby. Do. So anyway, that was Newtown. All right, Ezra said, I'm incredibly jealous that I wasn't at that show. All right, you have heard of the term, I think they call it FOMO or something, fear of missing out.
FOMO.
You should fucking have it now.
I have it.
All you guys should have it.
Yeah, on 100%. To meet all those dudes doing those stories, that would have been fucking amazing. And to hear just you guys telling those stories.
It was crazy.
I would have lost it.
And that's what I'm saying to the people. If any of my old buddies from Poughkeepsie show it up at the...
Laugh It Up.
Yeah, at the Laugh It Up.
You got to go to laughitup.net for tickets. That's happening November 3rd, Saturday.
This was a great story in the paper today. Cosby once out of prison.
Weird.
Because it's not very nice.
Doesn't like it in there?
It's not good. Now, the other night I saw a very famous comedian dropped in the cellar, and he was making jokes like Cosby's going to get banged in the ass.
Really?
Now, if you think, if you're in prison, would you go for the 80-year-old man for the rape? And why do people find that male rape is so funny and so enjoyable?
They love it. They think it's like it's an acceptable form of even vengeance also.
Right. But here's the deal. That's a rape.
Yeah, it's still
that
rape.
would still go to court.
Yeah.
The person who raped you would be a criminal that you could go to court.
Yeah, but people don't care. They think it's totally fine. That's anyone who goes to prison, they're like, well, you're going to get raped in the ass. It's fucking awful.
It doesn't make sense. And most people in prison are like, geez, I just want to do my time and get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, you must know a lot of people in prison.
Hundreds? Not hundreds, but yeah, I know a couple people got locked up.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. All your uncles, your brothers, your dad.
I believe it. No.
Nobody knows. Amy Schumer was arrested. She was part of that Kavanaugh thing.
Yeah, she got arrested with Emily Ratajkowski, the model, protesting.
That you love.
I love, yes.
She's got some new movie out, too. I forget who she's in it with. It's like a horror movie.
Oh, it's a horror movie. That's the 80s movie.
No, that one's already on demand.
I only saw the trailer.
This one is like, it looks like Hostel or one of those type of things.
Oh, no.
I forget who the famous guy is. Oh, I know who it is. It's the kid from Breaking Bad. The bitch guy.
Aaron Paul.
What's that?
Aaron Paul.
No, it's only one guy. This shocks us all, but Cat Williams was arrested.
I can't believe this shit.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll put him in with Cosby.
I think it was a limo driver he was hitting on. Not hitting on sexually, like literally.
Beating him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to beat the charge. He always does. You never hear of Cat like actually doing time.
All his stuff is very minor. He gets in minor trouble all the time.
It's very silly.
It's never any. Yeah. Well, first of all, he hits people, but he's not even big enough for them to feel it. And I mean, keeping an alligator in your house, I'm sorry. That's unusual, but you're not going to do time for it. So, yes, Cat will be out of this. He's also threatening to beat up Kevin Hart.
Yeah, he's not happy with
That'll be the tiniest fucking fight that has ever. That's going to be like Little Beaver against Sky Low.
He says he's training with Mayweather, and then I think he put out on Instagram, is like, I'm going to go train with Mayweather right now. I'm going to fuck you up, Kevin Hart.
You don't need to train at your age. You can either fight or you can't.
And we've seen him fight a 17-year-old and lose.
That kid was an accomplished wrestler, though.
I don't think that kid was even 17. He looked like he was fucking 13 or 14. The Thanksgiving show is going to be unbelievable, right?
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. And go to BenningtonShow.com to get on the mailing list. A pop-up will show up as soon as you get there. Put your information in. You'll be on the mailing list for early access to those tickets.
Remember this thing that you said you'd have fixed for me?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no.
It is not.
I'm going to fucking call up IT and scream at them because...
Well, let's get it fixed now.
Okay.
Vito, why can't I ever believe Chris?
I don't know. He says he talked to IT, but wouldn't IT have fixed it by now if he really did talk to them?
Man, you're right.
IT's pretty responsible here.
I have incident tickets that could show that I talked to them.
Sounds like a fucking conspiracy now.
Oh, dude, this guy just wrote, thanks for fixing this, by the way, too, that he had flown, I met him that night, he had flown in from Pittsburgh just for that show in Newtown because he's from there, and he told me that he had seen E.T. in that theater in 1983 when he was a kid. I don't know why. I guess I was the next ET to him. I guess he sees this as the sequel, the long-awaited sequel, or the reboot. Man, that was fucking fun.
Dude, it sounds amazing.
And to think, not one person from my show came down.
I'm very jelly.
Very what?
Jealous, all right?
He's a pretty girl, and he calls it jelly.
Yeah, all right? I'm a mean girl, all right?
Is that what that's from?
I don't think it's from Mean Girl, but the people just throw that around.
Mean Girls, plural.
Do they act like it's a Mean Girl?
Yeah.
I hate to see a 50 in my pocket. It's always supposed to be bad luck, right?
I'd love to see a 50 in my wallet.
Yeah, well, you're going to keep it there.
Or any combination that could add to 50.
Kobe, what's up?
Brother, I'm trying to figure out why they don't kick Amy Schumer completely out of the country.
Why would we do that?
Because, I mean, she said she was going to leave if Trump got elected, and she's still here, and now she's protesting bullshit. I mean...
Are you really saying shit like that, man? Is there really guys that talk like you?
Obviously, yes.
Yeah, I don't think we want to live in the kind of country that we kick people out when they protest.
But she said she was going to leave anyway. That's what
she never fucking said that. You got her confused with other celebrities.
That's Matt
First
Damon.
of all, she sells out all over the country. Wherever she goes, this is the country she makes money in. Where is she going to make money in?
Then why
Libya?
would she say she's going to leave?
Dude, don't fucking talk like that. Don't be dumb. I mean, you can dislike whoever you want, but don't be dumb. No, he hangs up. He gets his feelings hurt. I hate when people do not think shit out before they said it.
You know how many people say they're going to move out of the country when anything happens? It happens every 4 years.
First of all, you should move out of the country to Costa Rica.
Probably.
It's fucking nice cost of living down there.
Much better.
You got a girl that's going to be fucking good. The beaches are great. You could have a fucking iguana come in and out of the window.
Yeah, get a sloth.
Spiders as big as your head.
I don't like that part. The cost of living, though, sounds good.
That fucking town that I was in, I wish that I was selling American flags in that town.
Everywhere?
Every fucking house, every store had an American flag. I'm like, are you worried people confused what country this is? I don't know, the smaller the town, the more American flags. I'm like, if Earl was here, he'd be kneeling.
I always see in small towns American flags and these black stars that are on like the...
Those are Amish things. They're to do away with evil spirits.
I've always wondered what that was.
They used to just be on barns, but they're hex signs is the name of them.
Okay.
And you're supposed to keep you free from evil spirits because the German people, I think they have somewhat of like a Wiccan background or whatever the other phrase is for that kind of stuff. So they still hold on to some of it. Like, you know how your people do the thing with the fingers, the mlokio? It's a version of that.
Really excited I asked you about that.
Yeah, so now you know. You'll see them on barns all over Pennsylvania. And then some people put them up on there. Some people just put them up because they like them and they're like part of the tradition, you know, the area.
Sure, that looks cool.
The thing I like about the Amish guys is if you get in a fight with them, they really don't hit back much.
That's an easy win.
Dude, when I was a kid, we played football against them. We fucking destroyed those Amish guys. They're fighting Amish? Also, I would say, and all of them wouldn't be, all of them would not be Amish. Like, there's Mennonites and offshoots of it. But when I was a kid and they would come down to the beach and they would put money into a pinball machine, they would play one ball and then walk away. They didn't know. And sometimes they would put in money and there would be extra games in it and shit. And I was like, that's it. I'd follow those fuckers around. And this was the thing about them. They would go into the water with long pants on and the fucking blue shirt. They would go in like that, and the girls would have these long gowns that went down to their, they dressed like fucking Betsy Ross.
Okay.
And they would dive into the water like that. Now, you ever swim in your long pants before?
No.
So fucking heavy.
Yeah, it gets fucking.
It's so heavy. I can't imagine wanting to do it. Like, get yourself a pair of fucking shorts. They're cheap.
Strip down, Amish.
I guess they don't want to show their bare legs. That was the gimmick. You show your bare legs, you make God all upset. You're not even supposed to take pictures of them.
What do you think's going to happen?
Oh, like it captures the soul or something. I don't know.
That's a ridiculous thing to believe.
What, dude? What you're saying is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
See, I heard that. I heard that from a Native American too.
I never heard of the Native American. I thought there was some African tribes. I don't know why. Look it up, Vito. Why don't the Amish want their picture taken? And like you can go in the Amish country and you buy stuff off them and all. You'll just see people put the thing up.
Yeah.
And they try not to be rude, but they kind of turn their head.
Oh, wow. They're really on top of it.
So it's because items such as personal photographs can accentuate individuality and call attention to oneself.
I didn't realize the Amish are in like a hive mind type situation.
And it's because it violates the biblical commandment, thou shalt not make unto thyself a graven image.
Jeez. Taking it fucking serious.
Yeah, that's a very literal.
Dude, there's this kid from Norway who does shows. I think he's from Norway. I'm going to book him to come in here. And he said where he's from, you don't want to, no one should act like they're better than the crowd. Or you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like instead of, we're always competing and Vito's always trying to show off in his cool new hats.
Oh,
and stuff
every time,
like,
every day.
And they just want to be like, hey, we're all the same, everybody. We're all the same.
I never realized that.
So a person that I was with, a comedian, and I don't want to say her name, I'll just say her first name, Adrian, last name, Iapolucci. She said that's easier to do when everyone's white. And I go, what do you think, white people? She goes, no, I don't mean white people, but we have all different races here. It's not the same as saying we're all in the same crowd. Believe or don't believe?
Don't believe.
Vito?
Believe.
Believe?
Don't.
What do you think, Earl? Everything is beautiful in its own way?
I just feel that you should just be you. You know what I mean? Just be the best you can be, and that's it. I mean, and don't discriminate.
It always comes back to discriminate with you guys, doesn't it?
It's Earl.
But do you think that the crowd should be like, hey, nobody's better or nobody's worse than everybody?
I mean, everyone has their exceptional traits. You know what I mean? But
Okay, I just got a text from Amy Schumer. She left the country.
Oh, no.
Because of that fucking caller from New Mexico.
Really swayed her.
Which really, I'll just say this. I don't see the difference between New Mexico and Mexico. That's the same shit. Paul in South Jersey.
Yo, Ronnie.
Yeah.
That was absolutely fantastic on Saturday. I'm
Thank
telling
you so much, man.
dude. I knew that you were going. You had set material, and you tried to hit a couple points. You could tell, but those stories were so good that it just kept. I mean, I wasn't obviously. I'm not one of the people that grew up with you, but it was so fantastic the way you went through the stories. And obviously, you're a great storyteller. But I can tell you, the people around me. There were a few people there that you can tell. I don't know if you touched on this already, but a few people that were just there for comedy night at that place. They did comedy night once a month or whatever. And
yeah, I don't even know about that either because, all these fucking things, they go, oh, we'll draw some of our own people. I'm never fucking saying it. That's why when I go home to Poughkeepsie, and obviously I'm going to bring my parents out on stage.
Great.
My brother, my two sisters, my Uncle Ray is going to come out on stage. We're going to tell some stuff. That's Saturday, November 3rd at the Laugh It Up Comedy Club in Poughkeepsie. laughitup.net. Again, I got to now figure out where Poughkeepsie is.
It's north.
Everybody tells me, oh, this place is so much fun. And you got to go. And if they, next Saturday, do you want to have lunch with J-Law? you want to go out to lunch with Jennifer? I would go, no, I can't. I'm very, very busy. But if they said 9 months from now, do you want to cut off a pig's head and then have sex with its skull? I would go like this. The pig fucker is going to be there. Because it's so far away, I can't imagine that it's true. You know what I mean?
It could never happen. That time's never going to get here.
Hey, I didn't know it says we got a hurricane coming into the Panhandle.
Yeah.
Hurricane Michael.
Really? It seems like that name should have been used before.
They're definitely double dipping.
Tim, what's up, DC?
Hey, Ron. Stories about the neighborhood got me thinking. This is like a total tangent. And the movie The Wanderers, I know it was set years before your generation and whatnot. But did local neighborhoods, do they have like their own football teams that would go around and play other neighborhood football teams outside of like the high school?
Yeah, but I mean, you would do that not in pads or whatever, but everybody played Sandlot. But those guys that are with, they're all a couple years older than me. And I remember when I was a kid, they formed the Jefferson Street Astronauts. Just as everybody got high, everybody did drugs. Everybody also, for some reason, played sports and not like we're not jocks. I remember Scat, this buddy of mine, Scat. We were laughing our ass off because after this loss in the high school team, he comes over and he's taking his shit up and goes, "Don't fucking leave. I want to make sure you still have that." You know what I mean? Like he just starts talking like a regular guy. Where you look over and some guys are like fucking whining because they lost the game, or we got to get it together before we play Interborough. Stop it. Stop being a fucking baby.
Yeah, we would just play.
Let me guess, jazz bands.
we would play like, let's say I grew up on we played ball on 105th Street.
Mm-hmm.
So we would play the team, like I have a super team, and then play the team on 106th Street, and
just one block over,
and do like the little.
What were you guys playing?
Basically a variation of stickball.
That's back when kids used to play baseball, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why we can't get them to play anymore.
There's no fields. Like all the fields have been basically taken over. Like we would play every day, and then one day I remember we used to play at PS 143. One day we show up to play, and there is a giant hole where the playground used to be, and they just put up trailers for the overflow because apparently the school was overcrowded.
Fucking annoys the shit out of me.
There's still fields here, but you have to have a permit to play. Like I would try to play. Me and friends tried to go play baseball growing up, and then the parks department would come up, ask for your permit. If you didn't have it, you had to get off.
Yeah, they don't like to see kids play alone anyway. Makes them think someone's going to get hurt or raped.
I just didn't get it because, basically we're doing something constructive with our free time.
Yeah, but you can still fucking deal drugs while you play ball. Or don't act like you can't.
Yeah, push that rock.
Did we book that Norwegian kid? I think his name is like Daniel Simonson.
Not booked yet.
There was some famous comedians down there, and he was just standing, and then the famous comedian was very sweet. He was like, "This hi." He says his name and Richter.
Really?
I thought he was like Latka. And then I met him off stage.
The accent's that thick?
Yeah. I mean, it's not just an accent. It's also like the whole demeanor is not what we would consider normal. So I'm like, oh, you got to come in and do the show. And we ended up talking like they were asking him, so in the winter, how long is the sun out there? And people got into stories about like they did places in Alaska and shit where they did both when the sun never came up and then when the sun never
set.
Yeah, on the opposite side of the year. I think they both would destroy me.
I think the sun never setting would really fucking make me go crazy.
Worse than the sun never comes out?
Yeah.
I think that you would get more depressed than you think about that. Because I remember I worked at this place. It was like a warehouse. And they did a thing where they wanted you to work until you met the thing for the third like for the end of the quarter. So everybody would have to go like work like 2 weeks every day, 12 hours a day. Fucking, when you're a kid like that, the money is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because you're working Sundays at double pay and you're working overtime. So we'll go like double pay half and all that. And then they would lay you off for a couple months and they would bring you in and do that. And you got into that. But in the winter, it would be 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. So you did not, and we were in a building with not a single window, and you weren't allowed to leave because there was gold in the fucking building and all this kind of shit. And people were always trying to rob it. The employees were trying to rob it all the time. It was called the Franklin Mint.
Hey.
So, you know of it?
Yeah.
Was that where your mom used to get fucking bells from and shit?
Plates.
Yeah.
A lot of plates I remember
So-
the Franklin Mint.
We would go 2 weeks, fucking 12 to 12. And they would buy your breakfast and lunch in there and shit. I mean, like, they were just trying to make it a better thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, after like a week and a half that you don't see the sun, and, like you would just come home, get as drunk as you could, sleep, and go back in. I mean, you start to feel fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, it does sound kind of shitty.
Yeah, and the work was not hard. You know what I mean? It wasn't, and it was, not only did you not have to physically, didn't really have to work hard, you didn't even have to mentally work hard. And some of those people were on the line. A lot of them were on a fucking line, right? So you really go crazy doing that. What are you writing down?
Oh, we have a guest coming up.
Now?
Yeah, we should take a break.
All right, here's who the guest is. Robin Williams has this whole thing coming out. If you go to robinwilliams.com, it's 22 disc. 22 discs. We are going to have David Steinberg, the man who was his manager for what, like 3 decades?
40 years.
40 years.
40 years, yeah.
He's stopping in next to talk about Robin Williams with us. We'll be right back. This is Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington. David Steinberg's in studio, and the Robin Williams box set, Robin Williams Comic Genius, which is 22 discs, 50 hours long, is available now for pre-order at robinwilliams.com.
David Steinberg is here. You were the manager of Robin Williams for how many years?
40, 45 years.
Wow.
Something like that,
So
day and night.
before he even broke, right? Before he even broke as a national
Just
actor?
as he was about that, I came in about the second year of Mork and Mindy.
Wow.
And joined the company that managed him. Yeah.
To me, what's fascinating is even after all these years, we're still trying to wrap our heads around that kind of genius, right? I mean, it got to the point where we took it for granted. And I think after he passed away, we went, wow.
I took it for granted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I just never witnessed it before him, other than, making sure he didn't get lost.
Right.
Was to help him and give him something to think about, or give him just a kernel of encouragement, because Rob could take that and run like crazy.
But he did have some doubts before some of these big shows, would you have to say?
Never doubts.
Never doubts about the performance itself.
Could not wait to get on the stage.
Wow.
And I produced all of his specials and spent months with him before each special, creating or shaping what that appearance would be. And we did a show, A Night at the Met, which is in this box set. As a unique place to do it, I thought it'd be great. Robin sparked to it. It was a big deal here in New York. And we spent 3 months writing stuff, shuffling stuff, Robin creating stuff, me being a smart aleck giving an opinion.
Right.
And the night of the show, there was 25% I'd never heard. He had the biggest balls of anyone in the world.
That was the thing about it, is that you could never, as a viewer, tell what was being improvised on the spot and what was planned.
Yeah, before each show, when we used to go into a city, okay, my job was to get local information. When you listen to this, so we'd go into a city, I'd order newspapers from before each city for, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before we went to a city, so I could know a little bit about the city.
Yeah.
I'd write down some areas I thought were interesting. I'd talk to the limo driver. I'd talk to the bellman. I'd talk to the concierge. I'd talk to the bartender. There was not rocket science.
Right.
But I'd get all the facts and stuff that struck me as funny. And my main line was, who does everybody in this town hate?
Yeah.
Who do they love? Who do they hate? And, in a lot of small towns, well, we don't hate anybody.
Right.
You got to hate somebody.
Yeah.
There's no reason to get up in the morning if you don't hate somebody. So anyway, I'd put together this list. Robin and I would go and shoot the shit about what I thought was funny. He'd tell me what he thought was funny, and then he'd always complain, why is there so fucking much sports here? I don't like sports. I said, I like sports. And then he'd craft it so it fit him, and he'd get up there and put it together like, and he was just thinking of it.
Right. And I guess, it's almost like a chemical thing. You're dropping so many chemicals into something, or a recipe for a cake, and the cake looks nothing like all the ingredients that goes into it.
He would never panic, though. Yeah. Robin didn't panic. He panicked once when we were in England. But other than that, and I must have seen 10,000 shows, he never panicked. He loved tightrope walking. He loved being on the edge. And what spurred him on was the audience. When he knew he had the audience, and he wouldn't stop until he had the audience. That's why he used to do 2-hour shows, 2.5-hour shows, and he was a sweaty mess at the end of the show.
Well, I've always heard from so many people like how quiet he would be and how reserved. And they would always say that's the real Robin Williams. But I always wondered, is that real, or was him on stage real? You know what I mean?
Both were real.
Yeah.
Robin was very shy. Very shy. Unless you gave him that TNT to explode him.
Yeah.
He was quiet. He was thinking. He was a voracious reader, and he was a speed reader. Robin knew more about nuclear science, about wars, about history, medicine. Robin knew more about a myriad of things than anyone I've ever known in my life. Real information, not bullshit opinions that you get watching CNN.
Right, but he was just curious about everything. And then that would somehow pop out in his act. I remember, he would go into stuff about, Einstein or whatever, and you're like, oh, that doesn't seem like it would take place on a stand-up stage.
He studied Einstein. Einstein was a real hero of his. But he took it, and if you'll notice in his comedy, Robin was never nasty. He was never mean. Robin's enemy was stupidity. His enemy was cruelty. That's where he took issue with and really had fun with people. He didn't really like to make fun of people.
Yeah. He liked everybody to be happy. There was something about him that he it was almost like a medieval type jester thing that he would just come on stage like that. But here's what I always.
But he did it I agree with what you're saying. He could go with anything,
right?
But he liked to work toward a point, to fight injustice, to fight cruelty, to fight stupidity. In that little task I had of gathering information in the cities and stuff like that, he'd be most interested when we found somebody they didn't like, or when we found the topic of greed or of cruelty or of any kind of injustice and he went after it. He went after it.
Well, I mean, just look at the amount of work he left behind. 22 discs, 50-hour long box set. Robin Williams, Comic Genius, RobinWilliams.com. Now, here's the interesting thing. And I don't think, I know that there's a couple names that people will bring up, but I had never seen anything like Robin before I saw Robin Williams. And I've told this story before that I had a girlfriend who called me and said, I just watched this show. I saw the funniest person in the world. And I go like this, well, you couldn't have, or I'd know who they were. That's how I felt about comedy when I was a kid. And then I watched the next week and I'm like, yeah, maybe this is it. Because we didn't see anything like this before.
What Robin did on Mork and Mindy, okay, because that was an improvised show each week. They had a script, but Robin probably never read the script. He never showed up on time. He was an hour and a half late for work every day because he was out all night. Robin was the first real rock and roll comedian.
Yes.
He was friends with all the rock acts. They wanted to be with him. He was dangerous, and they loved how dangerous he was. They knew Robin, whatever he was going to say, came just out of his head. It was unfiltered. It just came out of his mouth.
And yet there was a sweetness to him and a generosity to him
and a gentleness.
Yeah,
and a kindness. But still, he would explode, and all of the rock acts wanted to be near him and part of him, but to come off of what was really a kid's show.
Yeah, sure.
He played a space alien with adult themes because that's how he thought. But to go from doing that to being this off-color, brilliant observationist.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted a piece of Robin. Everybody wanted to be around him. And he wanted to be a part of everything.
Yeah.
Everything. He never slept. We once had to hire a guy just to follow him around and not let him out of their sight. And we'd say, don't let him know you're there. Just don't let him get in too much trouble.
Right.
Because
you didn't know who he was going to leave with, where he was going to go out. All
Correct.
of a sudden, he's in some place that, is fairly dark. But that kind of thing interested him as much as anything, right?
He wanted everything. Imagine he had an appetite for life, like Henry VIII had for food.
Yeah. Right.
He just wanted everything.
But you could see, like, even at his most mania that he would have, there was still this element of sensitivity and even sadness that was always there. And that, of course, he was able to tap into in his film work. But I even saw in his stand-up that there was some part of him that was just so raw that there was also a constant sadness.
For me, it wasn't a sadness.
Yeah.
For me, it was a level of honesty that he would go to get to helping people without preaching to help people.
Yeah.
He would attack the stupidity and the evil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than, he really felt for people, which I think is where you're going.
Yeah, empathy that he had, that you could see it in his eyes no matter what came up.
One of Robin's real gifts, other than that brain of his, which was unbelievable, was his spectacular blue eyes. Robin could say anything. He could do anything, but there was never a meanness to it. That's why he could get away with it. He did this conolingus piece at the end of one of his specials, which I still think is one of the funniest things. And then I want to mention one other thing, which I thought was just brilliant. And he had worked himself to a place of sweaty, like crazy, orgasmic, dirty, filthy, all-consuming sex. By the end of this thing, this bit he was doing. But you know what? Women laughed like crazy because there was an honesty to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't dirty. It was honest. And he was a little boy. He was a little boy who could get away with anything.
Yes, and that, I think that's what you're saying, that you had to keep an eye on him because everybody treated him like family. Everybody treated him as that sweet person in their life.
I'm a dentist from Akron, and I'm going to be really, really fucking funny. And you know what? Robin's going to say, hey, Murray, you're really funny. Why don't you come on the road with me
and
be my best friend? I don't know what they're thinking.
I think in the back of their mind, people do feel like that is a friend of theirs. I mean, you would never approach Jack Nicholson that way or whatever, you know. You would. There's a sense of all.
Well, he's not going to take him on the road.
Yeah. I think it's got to be amazing, even for you to look back and see the amount that there's 50 hours of work here, and we're not including his films in this. This is
right.
The stand-up work and interviews and stuff,
and him guesting on shows. He was really the most sought after guest on chat shows, variety shows, on anything. I mean, we turned everything down in the beginning because he was already on a television show, so we wanted to keep. We didn't want him to be the brown M&M that was always there, or the red one that was, in every bowl. We wanted to make it a little special. He already had television, so.
But he did that. I'll always remember that last night of Carson that he
spectacular,
and Bette Midler did. Maybe the best television that's ever existed. As far as all of us are watching together, it's heart wrenching, and then it's also hilarious and.
There's some of the other, it's like picking the best running back in football. There isn't one.
Yeah.
There's 10 of them, all tied. You can pick one appearance of Robin, but there's 10 of them that were the greatest.
And again, this is always the stunning thing. Like, you could see him when he was with Pryor. Pryor's is funny, Carlin's is funny, but not the same kind of funny. It's a different place that Robin was living.
Their funny was every bit as genius as Robin's.
Yeah.
Robin's was raw because it didn't have a real beginning or end.
Yeah.
Robin's was life. It wasn't a bit. And he would just go, it was never really the same. We were on tour, I forget which show it was, one of the New York shows, and we had taken a break. We'd done, 10, 20, 30 shows, and then we'd taken a couple of weeks off for Christmas. We're coming back. I met him at the airport, he and Marcia, at the airport, and Robin and they both said to me that, there was something I hadn't heard. And, we get on stage. He gets on stage. There's a Freudian slip. He gets on stage.
So you must have felt like that throughout the whole career, right?
Yeah.
This is our show.
It was a great gift to my ego, a great gift to me to be able to live vicariously for 40 years.
Sure.
Gets on stage and he does this golf piece that he created. Robin never played golf once in his life. I didn't know that he watched golf, quite frankly. He knew I loved golf.
Yeah.
He came back and did, I don't know if it's a 6-minute piece or a 10-minute piece on golf. That is absolute genius. All of the golfers on tour
love that piece.
Love it piece, and they've mentioned it to me. But I'd lived with him on the road 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Months. And then he goes on stage and does something. I felt he was violating me.
David Steinberg is here. 22 disc, 50-hour-long box set. Robin Williams, comic genius. Go to robinwilliams.com. And, when you think the fact that you spent 40 years of your life with a genius, who... if someone said, I was with 40 years with Picasso, or I was with 40 years with Miles Davis, that's the very rarefied air that we're talking about with this kind of genius. And I think everybody really, for the first time, recognized it the day that we lost him. There was, I've told this story before, but was at a movie screening, and I had my phone off, and when I turned it back on, there was so many IMs and texts coming into me that I thought that we had another terrorist attack in New York. It was a frightening moment. And then when I saw that, it didn't sink in. But the thing is, I'm working with all different age people, and they all have a different Robin Williams that they mourned,
There were so many Robins, and that's just beautiful. When I think about, obviously, I was more emotionally involved in the Robin thing, but when I think about the enormity, after the initial shock of that phone call that I received, I'd never witnessed anything quite like that before. When John Lennon died, that was as huge, even though I didn't have that involvement in that. I met John once, actually. When Princess Di, the enormity of that, the world impact of that. It wasn't an actor dying. It wasn't one. Yeah. John Lennon wasn't a singer. She wasn't just Prince Charles' wife. You know what I mean?
Is a family member for everybody. It's like when you lose a family member, it feels so private. But everybody felt the same way, and that's what's stunning about it.
And we also had the internet.
Yeah.
And we also had the devil, which is cable news. So it was able to be exponentially, larger than those earlier tragedies, but those were the same kind of loss, that everybody bought a different piece of it. Like exactly what you said, Ron. Everybody felt it in their own way.
Yeah.
It was
it's something
life altering.
Yeah, it's something to be said too about a life's work, that you could look at somebody and know that they had that effect. And I went back, I remember thinking that, and I remember that Popeye didn't go over with the critics, but I still see that as like a brilliant piece of work to this day. And I think there was always something like that everybody has their own favorite movie of his. And
Robin was able to Robinize what he did. He did things on the stage that no one else could say. He did things in movies. And Robin wasn't the greatest actor who ever lived. He was a really fine, he was a great actor, okay? Yeah. But he was able to make everything he did his own. Jack Nicholson makes everything he does his own. Great people are able to do that.
I will go to different comedic pieces and different dramatic pieces, but there are these kids that came of age in the 90s, and it's Aladdin to them. Aladdin. And when they would come back to me, I was like, oh, I didn't realize it had that impact, because I was past the age where I would watch it 150 times the way they had. So here's just this one thing that he did that would have stuck with this generation of kids forever, and that's one piece.
You are saying, what you're saying is magical to me, because I believe it to my core, and I'm hoping that's what this box set does. Because you can take your favorite Robin story, your favorite Robin joke, experience, whatever it is, what you love, somebody else may hate. That whole conolingus hunk somebody may not like. Somebody may not care for the golf story. But there's something Robinized in this for everyone. For me, it's the closest thing to him being alive.
Yes, it is. And very few people leave together this body of work, because like you said, if you went just by the acting, he's done as much acting as anybody of his generation, but that's only part of him.
Yeah.
I would, if somebody said, what do I know about, how do I learn about Robin Williams? I'd send him to the stand-up first before everything else.
Here's something that's interesting, because Robin was America's, as we call him, America's best guest.
Yeah.
On these shows. When someone is doing the Jay Leno show, Fallon, whatever it is, they do a pre-interview with what they call a segment producer. They wanted Robin to do that. Robin never did a pre-interview. I did every pre-interview. And Robin didn't want to know what it was. I would know areas that he was interested in, that we would talk about. I kind of had an idea what he'd spark to. So I did all the pre-interviews. When Robin got to the show was the first time he had any idea
It's stunning.
of what they were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Everybody else prepares, and
Yeah.
I've been with...
And it comes across that way. It comes across that way.
It's genuine, though.
Yeah.
I mean...
But with Robin, you got this feeling that he was just shot out of the cannon, and people got a big kick out of that.
Correct. If you watch some of the early Johnny Carson shows, we have some on this thing, Johnny just got out of the way. And my expression for that is what I've often said is, it looked like he just didn't want to get any on him.
Right.
He just didn't want to get hit with the mess.
Well, what he always reminded me of, because he was physical and so quick mentally, was like the Marx Brothers. So you had both Groucho and Harpo in the same performer, and that's just, it doesn't happen. It's like seeing a fish that also flies.
You're so on the money. I'm really impressed. I really am. As great as his mental dexterity was, Robin had the same physical gifts.
Yeah.
The way he could move, and he wasn't afraid to try anything. He'd race into the audience. He'd dance with the camera. Whatever it was, he was not afraid. You couldn't scare Robin.
Yeah. You know, my all-time favorite line of his, it came from an interview that he had done, and I saw him tell the story here at Sirius to Whoopi, but he was in Germany, and they said to him, "Why do you think that we don't
I was there.
Were you there? And that line that he did.
It was a beautiful, beautiful German journalist, and Robin and I had been to, I think we were promoting Good Morning Vietnam. I think that was the movie. And we'd been to 5 countries in 6 days, or 6 countries in 5 days. I mean, it was crazy. And Robin and I lived pretty good. We were pretty out of control. We didn't want to miss any fun there was on any continent. We get into this interview. We're sitting there, this 6-foot-tall, beautiful German journalist. And Robin, at this point, this was the last interview, he had his shirt off, and he had a paper clip on one of his nipples. And this beautiful woman said, "Why is it, Mr. Williams, you think we have no comedy in Germany?" He looked back at her and he said, "Did you ever think maybe you killed all the funny people?" Thank you very much. That will be all. She got up and left.
But you know what is so, it's just amazing to me, because it's the funniest, quickest thing you could say, but it's also heartbreaking, because there's truth to that. You drove out the people or killed them. And that, I mean, that is like the best use of comedy I've ever heard of in my life.
It was so true.
Yeah.
You know, it's really the equivalent of slapping someone in the face with a wet dish rag. Jesus, it made me laugh. When we were in Afghanistan and Iraq, and Robin was very, very anti-war. Very anti-war. And I made a deal with the USO, which they lived up to so beautifully. It was fantastic. That this was about the soldiers. This wasn't about the war. This was about giving them some comfort. From the time we landed in any city, no matter how many people were on the tour with us, and we did it, I think, 4 or 5 times for Christmas. Robin, we would land. Robin would get off the airplane and go start visiting with the soldiers. In the beginning, we'd go to different departments. We'd go to the airplane hangars, to the helicopter hangars. We'd go to the special ops guys. We'd go wherever it was. And Robin would not, then he'd do a show. And we'd go back and visit. Robin would never stop his day until everyone on the base, to a man and woman, got a photograph with him. Nobody else kept up with us. Nobody else did that. Robin was the only one, and the USO staff and the military staff we had that was shepherding us through this, those people would change during the day and drop off. And, there'd be like a whole string of dead bodies behind us. But he would not go to bed until he'd done that.
And he realized, because we were talking earlier too about how empathetic he was to people and sensitive to people, that he knew that they kind of needed that to carry on. This was something for them to share. That's why he was there. Yeah.
This is the only way he could give them something. He brought a little bit of home to them. I've never seen Robin that happy. And I have to say, in the 40-some years, these were the best jobs we ever had. The best jobs we ever had.
That's because that's where he was most needed, I think. That he knew that he brought something that nobody else could bring.
Yeah. He really brought himself. Yeah. He gave, it's like giving little pieces of himself out along the way. And they all appreciated it, and it was fantastic. Those are really memorable.
Well,
those are in this set, by the way.
Oh, that's
those
wonderful.
Performances. He does a piece with Kid Rock.
Yeah.
That is where he plays the harmonica, and I fought with him to do this. And he and Kid Rock were as good as it gets.
This is an amazing amount of work. 22 discs, 50-hour long box set. Robin Williams, Comic Genius. Go to robinwilliams.com. And now I guess your life is about his legacy and how he's remembered as a person, and the art. The art is what.
And so he's not forgotten.
Yes.
I mean, this set, we did an HBO documentary about Robin's genius. Those were the two things that myself and the family kind of thought we could give back. For me, I don't want the memory of what Robin said and did to ever be forgotten, because it's going to mean something forever.
Right.
I was lucky enough to be involved with Sammy Davis for about 25 years before and during part of some of the Robin stuff when I was right out of college. And you know what? It's sad to me that there are people that don't know, young people don't know who Sammy Davis was.
Who was considered the greatest entertainer of his time. He could do it all, sing, dance,
I think of all time.
Yeah. But see here, that's the thing that we can forget. It's like, it is a garden that has to be taken care of all the time.
Great way to put it.
And
should do this for a living.
Yeah. But I mean, there are certain people that has been taken care of very well, and you could see that in their work. I mean, Judy Garland is not forgotten. People will watch that, and there's still fans of hers to this day. But there's other performers who were every bit as big, but that wasn't taken care of.
And we are lucky enough to have all of the advanced technology, so those records exist.
Right.
We have to figure out a way to make sure, through the use of all the platforms there are, that it's carried on, and you have to feed the fire. You got to stoke the interest. Otherwise, young people are going to say, who gives a shit about Robin Williams?
Exactly.
And you know what? Everybody should give a shit about Robin Williams.
Yeah.
For themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say this. I mean, this to me is always Robin's work is as important as Mark Twain's or Hemingway's. I mean, or any great performer you talk about, because this is particularly an American amount of talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He came from that, and it's something that Americans can pay attention
to. He
to.
had real opinions and real positive thoughts. Anybody can get up there and say shitty stuff about everybody.
Yeah.
Robin made people feel good about themselves, made people look inside of themselves. Great comedy, in my opinion, is when an audience sits through the show and they say, I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I was about to say that. And you know what?
Yeah.
They weren't.
Yeah, I know. But that's how it feels like. Here's what it's
That's
like. You
his
got
gift.
the thought. It's like
Exactly
the
right.
thought popped into your head.
And he pulls it out of you. He plants it there and pulls it out for you. That's his gift.
Yeah.
And if you listen to what he's saying, not as a lesson, but you're going to laugh, it'll help you get to a better place. RobinWilliams.com.
Thank you so much, my friend. This was so great having this conversation. I appreciate it. 22 disc, 50-hour long box set. Robin Williams.
Yeah.
That was fun talking Robin Williams with David Steinberg, huh?
That was great.
Isn't that weird that you have the same name as the other famous guy from comedy, David Steinberg? We were talking at the beginning of the show just how amazing that Newtown theater was. My Poughkeepsie tour ends soon. I've been out on the Poughkeepsie tour. I'm trying to play as many places as I can in Poughkeepsie this year. But the last show that I will be doing, I want to get this date correct. I'm going to call it November the 3rd at Laugh It Up Comedy Club in Poughkeepsie, New York. That'll be it. That'll be my last Poughkeepsie appearance. Great to go home. Apparently, I'm getting to the key to the city, and that means a lot. And I'm putting my handprints and feet prints into the thing, and from the big Poughkeepsie City Hall, and that's going to be good. Wow, it's great to be home for this, you know.
It's amazing. It's laughitup.net. Laughitup.net for tickets to that last Poughkeepsie show.
We're going to laugh it up. We're going to hoop it up. All these are going to start being announced on this thing that Chris is doing, because Monday we will be announcing the Thanksgiving show. But if you're signed up for the VIP list, you get first crack at tickets.
And to get on that list, go to bettingtonshow.com, and then a pop-up will appear. You put in your information, and you're on the list. That's bettingtonshow.com. You'll get early access to tickets to the Thanksgiving show.
I don't know whether we can do this. I have to go over everything, but we're going to have Earl, the first person picked up by drones at that Thanksgiving show, carried out of them by drones, and go up high enough that it just meets space. Apparently, if you go up high enough, you just where like the atmosphere is meeting space, and I guess the drones shut down, and Earl will fall to Earth from, I think it's 12 or 13 miles. And then Chris and Vito will have a blanket and catch Earl before he's smashed into Times Square. Now, we have to get full clearance to do that, but that is the idea.
I think I would perish before I make the ground.
We will see, Earl.
Wait a minute.
We will see.
I'm already ordered drones, so I think this is the thing that's going to happen.
You better get about 100 of them. Because some of the drones, you know. Earl, what do you weigh now?
I'm close to 200 pounds now.
Right. You're 2 bills?
I'm almost 2 bills. I put on a few pounds.
You can't even tell, Earl. You look exactly like the day that I met you.
Yeah, the blood work I got back is different, but hey.
I would love to be at your funeral. I would love it. I'll have the whole fucking place crying.
It would be an electric funeral with you there.
Thank you. I'll do my best, Earl. I'll just, I'll do the whole Gunga Din speech, but I'll focus it for you. Here's another thing I want to do with David Steinberg. Is friends with George Schlatter, the Laugh-In. And I was talking to him about me saying Schlatter the last time we were up at the National Comedy Center. And Steinberg says to me, yes, I understand he was great. He told me he was great. I love that, man.
It's great.
So what I wanted to do was go out to LA and we'll do some of this stuff because they asked us to do stuff at the Comedy Store. But then I want to hang out with that generation a little bit.
That'd be amazing.
Maybe we do something. I don't want to even give away these ideas. I just noticed Earl's here.
Yeah.
And he's not 100% committed to us.
Not at all.
I'm 100% committed.
Earl, you serve two masters, the Black Rock Coalition and the Hard Rock Coalition.
I serve 3 masters. This is
the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Who's coming in next, Chrissy?
Emmy Blotnick. Emmy Blotnick's coming in. She's a
Emmy Blotnick. We love. What kind of last name is Blotnick? What would you say? Is it a Russian?
I'm going to say that's Eastern European. I'm going to say it's Czech.
Okay.
I was going to say Hungarian.
All right, these are all good guesses. Vito, you want to get in on one?
Polish.
Polish. All right, and I'm going to go with Scotch Irish, just as a shocking out, 50-1 shot. And I'm going to put down $10,000. So that'll really pay off nice. Then I can say fuck you to this place and go lay on an island. How much money would it take for you to walk away from everything, Chris?
I mean, I'm going to piss away a lot of the money. I don't know, $250,000.
By the way, we're taking taxes out.
Oh, come on.
You're gonna. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get in trouble with the IRS. You're going to leave here with 125 G's.
That's going to cut my walking away money by fucking half.
I don't. Seriously.
At least.
By the way, $250 is not even a good salary, let alone enough for you to walk away.
I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah. Vito, how much to walk away from everything?
$600,000.
First of all, can you imagine giving Vito $600,000 for any reason?
He would buy. It's wasting him money. At least I'd have fun with the cash. That 125K is going to go have a lot of good times.
So 600,000. You take out half. That's 300,000. He owes 2. He'll be left with 100 grand.
He'll be back asking if he can get some work. Hey, Chris.
Yes.
How much if I said to you to commit a murder? Be totally honest.
Yeah.
I want this to be totally honest.
Yeah.
I'll just give you an assignment like you were a fucking hitman.
Okay.
You won't be attached to it. You won't know the person, but you do have to pull off the murder.
This is
not sloppy where you get caught.
Yeah.
You got to pull off a good murder. How much?
$18,000.
No, you wouldn't even think about it.
No.
I mean, like, you wouldn't have a moral problem with this?
No, I would want to know the details of how I could get the person and kill them, but I wouldn't want to know any details of their personal life or whatever. But if I just knew them as just a target, then I would have no problem whatsoever killing them and walking away.
Dude, I got the money to do this right now, and I would love just to do it just to see. But I'm worried I'll be tied back into this.
No, there's no way. I mean, just give me just straight cash. Don't Venmo me or anything.
TK. And when they look at the presidential frontrunners that would run in 2020, there's not one I think could be Trump.
Yeah, the field is kind of weak. The Democrats are weak.
Apparently, Trump's team said they would love it if Elizabeth Warren ran against him, but they would be kind of nervous if Biden did. That's the last thing I read about it.
So they're bullshitting.
They said they were worried about Joe Biden's blue collar status. And I think that they brought up that he could make fun of Warren a lot, so that's why they want him.
Yeah, but that Pocahontas shit could really fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the debates would be just the debates alone. If they
he'd come out in a headdress.
No.
I can see him. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Fucking, I think that something you don't want to do.
You come out
but
dressed
with
as
Biden,
Tatanka.
you're easily able to make fun of him. I don't trust what anybody says. All right, they say he's got a 41. This is a new CNN poll. 41% approval. So he's gone up 5 points in his approval rating.
Battling back.
You would think 41 was small. But nope. Pretty fucking good. Craziness.
Was this overall, or was it specific regions?
No, this is the United States of America, not the fucking East Coast of America. What's that? What do you want to say, Earl?
Emmy is here.
Well, it's the award.
No, Emmy Blotnick is here.
Let's bring her. One of the funniest comics today. You got a plug for her?
Yeah, her Comedy Central half hour is available now on cc.com. Emmy
Great.
Blotnick.
Let's bring her in.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Emmy Blotnick's in studio. Her Comedy Central half hour special. That's available now on cc.com.
We brought you into this music because I saw you do a bit about your love for The Rock.
Yeah.
That went on longer than I thought any bit about The Rock would ever go on. It was a lot of material.
7 or 8 minutes. Yeah.
I'm like, how long can this hold up? But you do love The Rock, right?
I
You
do.
having trouble with your headphones?
I'm not hearing anything in them, but
You got this turned on?
Yeah, she's on. Yeah.
if you guys can hear me, then we're good. I mean,
Let me try these other headphones with you. I should have a producer do this, but
well, now you're doing everything.
Yeah.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're on the air.
Oh, cool. I hope everybody loves technical difficulties.
Here we go, darling. Use these.
Why, thank you.
But you, you do indeed love the Rock.
I think he's our best famous guy. I can't imagine a better famous guy than him.
Now, you think he's talented? Do you think he's attractive?
He's everything. Isn't that the appeal? I think men all love him. Men want to be him. And women are all like, what would that be like? And he's, I guess, I was not, are you a wrestling fan?
I have been a wrestling fan many times over the years. People get mad. I think this is one of the weakest times ever.
Because he's acting.
For wrestling, yes. Yeah. So I'm not really keeping up with it now. But when it was him and Stone Cold and all that, I thought that was a very, dynamic time for wrestling.
Yeah. I had to go back and watch clips of him as a wrestler, and I understand why he became like a big time movie star. Clearly more charismatic than almost everybody.
When he first came in, they didn't like him.
Oh, he was a villain first,
yeah,
right?
they tried to. Well, I think
he was.
You would know
Rocky.
this. They tried to bring him in as a face, Vito.
Yeah, they tried to bring him in as the first third generation superstar, as Rocky Maivia's grandson. So he came in all this gear, all this Hawaiian gear. People hated him.
And then when he became a bad guy is when people started to like him.
When he called himself The Rock and joined the Nation of Domination.
Nation of Islam or Nation of what?
Nation of Domination and kicked Farouk out.
But that's the weird thing. That was like, we're around 9/11 and they were making fun of the fact the Nation of Islam and the Nation of Domination.
Yeah, Ron, you would love Ballers. Ballers just ended its season last night.
I tried to watch Ballers. I could not enjoy it.
Well, they just wrapped up a great season.
I haven't seen the show, but I feel like I would like it just on the strength of, it seems like it's a lot of The Rock getting off of planes on windy days, and that works for me. So
it really is. I when I watch it, I go, oh, I get it. It's Black Entourage.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't keep up with it. It wouldn't work for me.
Did you like White Entourage?
Yes, at the time, and now I'm very ashamed of that. It's almost like find it
straight, Ron.
Yeah, you should almost feel like you got caught up in the Me Too movement if you enjoyed Entourage.
Yeah, it is. It was definitely. That show doesn't age well.
Yes, neither does Piven.
Yeah.
Now, and he's in stand up, and it's not even like he's returning to stand up. It's just like, well, here's a place where a guy who gets in trouble can still get work.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? I haven't seen him do stand up before, but I'm curious what it's like.
Oh, I was going to ask you about this. It might be up on the iBank today, but Bo Burnham, is that the young man's name who did the 8th grade movie or whatever? So I want to get this quote correctly. Look it up for me, Vito. But he said that something along the lines of just the toxic masculinity of the stand-up club. And he said these clubs should be burned down.
Oh,
so
man.
we can get rid of that. Now, you work all over the place, right?
Yeah, I try to do everywhere.
Do you find that the clubs are very masculine, or...
They are more masculine for sure, but I've also found that like the comics and the audiences are very welcoming to my own experience at least has been like everybody's like, oh look, something else, and that doesn't seem to be rubbing anybody the wrong way.
Yeah,
I think I've been reading like Twitter. I feel like all day today has been full of like burn it to the ground type sentiment.
Really, what's going on?
I just saw a few threads of people. The Kavanaugh stuff, and I guess a lot of people aren't thrilled about Louis coming back and or showing up places. And
have you been to the cellar when he was there?
I have not had the misfortune of being there at the same time as him.
You're nervous about running into him?
I mean, I'd rather not. I guess here's my thing is he used to be my favorite comedian, and now it feels like it's causing a swirl of drama around a place that was previously like a paradise to me.
Yeah.
So I don't appreciate the extra fuss and mess around it.
Well, I will tell you, I was there a couple of Monday nights ago. Maybe it was last Monday, and no one's even talking about that. They were talking about the Sunday night before. He was back the next night, and I went down both times to see what the pop was going to be like. Not to watch his whole set, but just to see what people thought.
Yeah,
exploded for him like they would have at any other time. I didn't personally see anybody walking out, and I stood around for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess like people do. I mean, that's part of the appeal of going to the cellar, I guess, is that there's the possibility of a surprise.
Yeah.
And I guess the people that get angry about this are not necessarily the types to like carry tomatoes around with them.
Or go to the cellar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you really think about it, a comedy, if you're going out to a comedy club, and like you said, you're going to go to the cellar, you're going to see 5 different acts. You may see a famous person, but you're also going to get a black guy, a white woman, an 80s comic, whatever. Everything is going to.
Those are the pockets of diversity.
Yeah.
Versus
And
white guys, black women, 80s people.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the stripes of the rainbow there.
But what's really funny is like musically, you would never see that. You know what I mean? You wouldn't see. Here's a reggae act, and here's a singer-songwriter, and by the way, here's a one-hit wonder from the 80s. So you've got to be fairly open-minded to even go into a comedy club.
I think that's true. I like the comparison of comedy to music. That always feels like accurate to me.
Right.
People don't like to see it that way, but it is a lot like genres of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but you don't mix genres.
That's right. You have to go to a poorly curated festival to see what you just described.
Yeah.
So.
And most of the time you'll see people wander away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to put up with this.
You go to the bathroom during the reggae act. Everyone knows that. No, I'm kidding. Reggae's great.
Your stand-up, and I've said this before, first of all, you're so funny and you're such a terrific writer, but I feel like you bring zero masculinity into it. There's a place that you come from that is uniquely yours.
Oh, thank
you know what I mean? I don't see you as a trendy comic, and to throw you even in with other women would be lazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like when people don't just go like, oh, you're like Wendy Liebman because that's the only other woman I know.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's always nice when people have a little bit more nuance in that.
But you are generally a unique person, and you put out your own story a lot, which makes me laugh. I had to follow you one night, and you were talking about where you met the person that you're with now, and the first words and all that. And I forgot that I was going on next. I'm like, this is so, like, even beyond funny. I was like, holy shit, think of how many people, you know what I mean? My entire life changed, but I wasn't paying attention to it at the time.
Oh.
That's what I loved about that bit.
That's so nice. Thank you.
But I don't know how you go out of your way to find those little odd pockets.
Little odd pot. Well, they're just what happens to me, I guess. I think, it's weird with the cellar. Like, I sort of ended up in there in a weird way because Comedy Central was doing a pilot where they just happened to be shooting it at Village Underground, and I was thrown in to do a set, but I don't think anybody there would have recommended me to get in through the traditional audition process.
Right.
And so I may be a little like a few more degrees removed than some other folks there, but it's, I guess, I don't know. I wish the system of recommending people, it has to be somebody who is like very trustworthy.
They trust,
Yeah. And I guess that sort of slows down it like keeps the performers from being, it's not always the newest, hottest, most cutting edge person,
Right.
because you have to have somehow crossed paths with someone very experienced.
Well, where were you working before that? You were working like alt clubs or?
Yeah, I was doing like UCB and Brooklyn venues, like, you know, your Union Halls and your Little Fields and places like that.
Yeah.
And I had done some stuff with Comedy Central as a writer, a little bit as a performer, and so they kind of roped me in. But that's kind of how it happened. I hope people keep filtering in through different ways like that, because the diversity is always a good thing.
Well, who was the person who approached you from the club? Was it Liz? Was it Esty?
After I did the set for the pilot, Esty was there, and
Wow.
she was like, "I'm going to start using you," and I just blacked out. I was like,
Yeah.
"You what?" So
that is what's really funny about her, and I'm still trying to figure her out. But she just goes, in my opinion, she goes, "Oh, the audience likes this person. They would be good to use here."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it is not. I've never seen her try to shape anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you've always heard about different people who, like, they own a club, so they think that makes them
like the manager for everybody.
Yes, the expert. Like, I know what works. Take this out, put that
like,
in.
Ron, you got to dress more sexy.
Yeah.
You know?
And by the way, I'm going to start doing that too.
It's about time you let the audience see you in a crop top.
Well, a lot of these people don't know the amount of chest hair I have. They see the top of it, but it goes on and on. But that is interesting about her. She'll just be like, "Oh, this person works here." You know what I mean? And she doesn't think that she's more of an expert for the people who she doesn't think work here. She's just like, "I don't know whether you're ready or you fit in here or whatever."
Yeah,
you know?
I guess it is kind of a gut thing. And yeah, I have like a lot of sort of she reminds me of a lot of family on my mom's side. So I feel like she and I connected on some sort of like almost like a genetic level in some weird way, where I'm like, I think I'm probably related to you somewhere deep in our ancestry.
Yeah.
So that ended up being very nice.
Now, what did your Brooklyn alt friends think about you going across the river and working the cellar?
I haven't asked them like, "Hey, what do you think of what I'm doing?" But I think for the most part, people, I feel like most people are like, "Hey, that's great, good for you."
Right.
And I hope, I don't know, I hope more of them end up in the fold there, because like lots of those Brooklyn folks could do very well in that room, and it's just that they haven't met yet.
Right.
And it's a yet, you know.
I honestly think that the room is a lot easier to work than a lot of other rooms. Like, people have this thing where now, you know, that's the big league, but I'm like, yes, but this audience shows up.
Oh yeah,
to
they're
be
pumped.
entertained.
Yeah.
And you'll just see like, oh, this will get an applause break where it used to get, you know, a laugh.
Yeah. And then you learn to lean into that more, and it makes you more confident. So it's, you know, it's only good things. There are people who have like waited on the street in the rain to come see a show. They are excited.
Yes, the standby list is like, you're kidding me. Is this Broadway? Is this, you're going to wait out like 50 people hoping to get that somebody didn't show for their reservation, so, you know, 2 or 4 of you will be able to go in? I'm stunned by that.
Yeah.
But you can psych yourself out. I know a young person who went there and let it get to their head for a long time until they found themselves. And I'm like, you're overthinking this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in the sort of like the legend, I was going to say legend and legacy at the same time.
Right. This could be a new word that you invent.
Legacy.
Yeah.
That you can get caught up in the reputation of the place, and forget that you're there to work and have fun.
Well, when people are always going, "Oh, what about the comics table?" I go, "I mean, the comics table of 2000 when it was Patrice O'Neill busting Rich Voss." You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen
it's
that.
Like me and Mateo Lane.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they should be burned to the ground. I just think like let in more people who aren't straight white men, and let everybody have a shot.
I do think that a lot of the stuff, even when people say, then this might just be myself, but a lot of it is based on what used to be, or in the 90s or in the 80s. And you know, in terms of women in comedy, there's always been superstars. There's always been superstars. There's never been enough middle acts and headliners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's never been enough MCs. Hey, I'm the MC, take it. But that's just, but the percentage wise, and I talked about this a long time ago with Jeff Garland, we always thought that the percentage wise was just about the same. You know what I mean? Your chances of finding a funny woman were the same as finding a funny man. It's just that there was more men there, and you could pick out a couple more.
Yeah, but the men tend to recommend other men and blah blah blah. Like there's some systemic things to it, but yeah, it's not like, I think people have the 90s 80s table in their heads and don't see that, like, actually there are a fair number of women and like LGBTQ people from all walks of life in there.
Yeah, I think there's a stunning amount now. And I also think if you think of some of the guys that seem like they're rough boys, like a Louis J. Gomez and the Big J Crew, they have women at these shows all the time. Yeah. It's not like, I've never run into comics who go, women aren't funny, but I'll read articles, you know, from that point of view.
Yeah. And I guess also there are a lot of, some of the stuff I was reading today on Twitter that were like, people being like, I'm never going to work in the clubs and stuff like that. It's like, well, maybe your act isn't developing in a very traditional way.
Yes.
And it might not be well suited for the clubs, in which case, like, keep carving out other places. It's good if there's like all stripes of comedy in the world.
Well, that
you don't have to do the clubs.
Yeah, they used to be the gatekeepers. They're not anymore. They're not anymore. But even Bo Burnham, he didn't come in that way.
Yeah, he came up through YouTube, which I could never do.
Right. I don't know how you sit and do that kind of, you know, hey, wear a funny hat.
Yeah. If I try to say like and subscribe, I break I break down. So
guys, do me a favor and hit the like button on this.
The Rock came up just being in a Family Guy. Like, if it wasn't for just that his grandpa and everything, like, he got lucky with that.
I thought you were talking about Chris Rock, but you're back to The Rock again.
Rock,
I'm
Dwayne
thrilled
Rock
we're back
Johnson.
to The Rock.
You should see, there's been a poster for Skyscraper outside this building for like 6 months. I don't think it's ever going down, and I hope it stays up forever.
Is it already out?
Yeah, it's already on demand, I think.
Okay.
You should check it out. It's like Die Hard, except he doesn't have a leg, and he's still married.
Wait, he's missing a leg?
Yeah, he's missing a leg. And then he had another movie this year where he fought a monkey, like a giant monkey. And I think a lizard got involved.
I'm going to be totally honest. I don't think I even watch these movies when they come to HBO.
No,
I can't think of the last Rock movie I've seen.
Central Intelligence?
No, I didn't see that one.
Maybe it was Get Hard?
I saw the one where he's a tooth fairy.
Oh, that was
a hockey
Tooth Fairy.
playing tooth fairy. And that might have been a lot of years ago.
That was his Disney phase. He did that in the Game Plan. He was losing weight. You know, funny story about The Rock.
Why don't you, before we get to the funny story for The Rock, you're in that, give a plug to Emmy because she's on Comedy Central.
Oh, yeah.
The Rock has got plenty of
I'll talk
promotion
about him
video.
later. But Emmy, you can see her special on cc.com. It's available right now in streaming.
Were you happy with it? I haven't seen it yet.
You know, I am happy with it. We taped it last December before I started working at the Cellar. So a lot has changed since then, but I think it still turned out good, and the people have been mostly really nice about it, which is cool.
Let me also say this about Emmy. She's one of the few people that on New Joke Night does new jokes.
I've noticed some people doing real polished things.
Yes.
New Jokes Night.
And
I'm like, you're messing this up for when I go up there and bring out a stack of napkins.
Yes. I went up once just having a bunch of Reese's cups. And I'm like, oh, this might be a funny idea. And it wasn't, but I followed somebody's closing act.
Yeah. I mean, I've used that show when I was running a set for Conan. I did like a type 5 there.
Yeah.
But I told them that, and it's like, so, you know, don't compare this to if, you know, the next guy is going to come up here and experiment with something about like which one of his balls doesn't work or whatever.
Now, is Conan done with stand-ups now that he's going in this other direction?
I don't know.
I saw him say goodbye to his band. It was kind of heartbreaking.
I couldn't even watch because I was like, I'm going to cry if I watch him say goodbye to these guys. I hope that there's still room for it because he's like I feel like he's one of the heavyweights in terms of letting new people
and
have a shot.
He lets them be part of the show. I don't want to say the shows who go, oh, we're going to shoot 12 stand-ups and then fit them in wherever. I'm sorry.
I feel you throwing a little shade at Colbert.
Colbert and Kimmel.
Oh yeah, Kimmel.
I have all the love now for the Tonight Show, because when I see people do that show, and plenty of friends of ours have done it, Jimmy goes out of his way to put them over.
Yeah, that's true. When I used to be on the like social media web staff for when his show was at 12:30, and that was always a nice thing. He'd come out and be like, I'm so excited about this next person, and like get the audience like rooting for them before they came out. But yeah. I don't think the other shows don't do that. No. Do you see me trying not to step in shit here?
Yeah. Okay. It's a smart idea. Let me take the heat. So are you living with your guy now?
Yeah. We share a studio apartment.
How long were you dating before you did that?
Like 6 months. I pulled no punches with this dude. He's like an exceptional man, and I just showed up with all my stuff and I was like, here we go.
Now he's a chef, you were saying? Or?
Yeah.
That's it's got to be nice, right?
It doesn't get better. That is if you could search dating apps by profession, I would say just type in chef and start hitting on all of them. They're so handy, and they work similar hours to comedians, and mostly like I feel like a lot of comics are like sort of klutzy, like have no practical skills, and chefs pick up all the slack. So
it is true, and it's when you know a chef, it's surprising how quickly they can show you 3 or 4 meals that you can get away with forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't need to be able to pull off cooking for your friends. You don't have to have that many recipes. You know what I mean?
I would be impressed with every single thing he cooked, and he'd be like, these are just lentils.
Right.
And I'd be like, what the fuck? Lentils? Like, it's the simplest preparation. I think I was just excited that something warm was available to me in a big pot. So, yeah.
The Rock should play a chef in a movie.
I would love that.
He has that crazy diet. He wakes up at like 5 a.m., eats a bunch, and works out.
He eats like it's 46 ounces of steamed cod every day, and like a few dozen eggs, and just nonstop, man.
Does any human eat steamed cod?
I've
never heard.
Your face. Oh, I wish this wasn't radio, so we could
Earl,
see.
what do your thing is more chicken? A lot of different kinds of chicken. What's your diet?
Boiled eggs, maybe.
Okay.
Some tuna fish, some light chicken.
What do you do for dinner?
Salads, sandwiches, nothing heavy.
You're not that far off.
I hate to even get into this,
diet.
But Earl looks like Rocky Johnson. Wasn't that the father of The Rock?
The Rock's father.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You ever see the episode of That 70s Show where The Rock he's playing his father, Rocky Johnson?
No, I never saw that.
Yeah, The Rock played his
Put
dad.
up a picture of Rocky Johnson. You're going to be surprised, Earl.
Earl, you look exactly like Rocky Johnson.
Man.
The Rock's father.
I guess, as a young Rocky Johnson.
Chris, Earl, take your shirt off. And
he's about several pounds of muscle bigger.
Do you sometimes have a mustache?
I haven't had one in about 2 years, 3 years.
I've known Earl for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
When I first came to New York, and he looks exactly the same. It's frightening. Everybody else looks massively older.
Yeah.
And I look at Earl, and I'll go back and look at pictures of him, and I was like, he's wearing the same clothes. He only wears black as it is, right?
Oh.
But even that hat you had 18 years ago.
Yeah, that's when they started to color coordinate the hats.
I literally said to you, wait, they make all black Yankees hats?
They just started to color
I know you've never taken it off.
Yeah, it was. When they made the black on black Yankee hat, I was the happiest guy in the world because it didn't match. The regular Yankee hat didn't match with anything.
No, also, I mean, look at this, how he wears his American flag upside down like we're in distress.
Oh.
He's a radical.
That's
Our
cool.
friend
That's
Earl is
cool.
a real radical.
It's subtle. What's the other pin on the left side?
It's a microphone.
Oh,
because
love of radio.
Yeah, the love of radio.
Got back in the radio.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'd like you to have a picture of me, but upside down, like Ron.
You like
is
this
in
Ron,
distress.
yeah. Oh man, Ron, where are you from originally?
I'm from Delaware County. Look, I'm going to tell you, you're one of the few people that might be able to appreciate this. So I hadn't done comedy for a lot of years. I only started about a year and a half ago.
No way.
Yeah, I did it when I was younger and became an addict. And then, just kept doing radio.
What kind of addict?
All drugs.
Oh, cool. I understand that. Drugs are good.
I know it ends bad, you know what I mean? But right up to that point, it's really, really fun for a long time. For a long time, kids.
Well, good for you getting over it.
Yeah. But, so I just stopped and, I tried to become more of a family person or whatever. I just did radio. And so the other night I went and did this theater that's down near Philadelphia, about an hour and a half from where I grew up. And I'm on stage. I'm doing stand-up. First minute in, and this is in a theater, a guy goes, "Ron, it's me, Turtle." A guy that I haven't seen in 30-some years is sitting in the front row.
Oh.
Then other people start to yell out, and all my old high school friends that I hadn't seen in many, many years were there. And I just dropped everything I was doing and just started telling old stories about all of them. And it turned out to be one of the most amazing nights of my life. But isn't it weird when somebody shows up and you're doing material that may seem like you would be able to see the falseness in their eyes? Yes.
Yeah. I just did shows in DC last weekend, and my college roommate came to the first of the 4 shows, and it made me so nervous because I was like, oh, she remembers when I wasn't crazy. But yeah, it's like a weird truth serum.
It is weird, right? And I thought to myself, I have to drop everything that I planned on saying.
Yeah.
And just say how weird this is.
Because you don't want them to yell out like, "We know your wife. She doesn't do that."
Right. But yeah, there was a weird amount of, and I said to the audience, I go, "Well, you're not getting the show that I planned on doing, but you're getting a once in a lifetime thing." Because I'm telling all the old fucking stories. And luckily for me, I grew up with a lot of crazy people. But I literally keep thinking about it.
Just
since
how
it happened.
spontaneous.
And on the way home, I'm like, oh man, I should have told that other story. You know what I mean? I have 90 more, and this, maybe I'll just go back to my old neighborhood and just tell stories. That'll be all I do for the rest of my life. What is it? You're waving at me.
Well, you said I'm coming home, and I WrestleMania 29, once in a lifetime. They played him coming home the whole time Rock was fighting John Cena, and they called it once in a lifetime.
Wait, what coming home? What are you talking about?
You said coming home. You were coming home to Pennsylvania. The Rock came home to WWE a few years ago.
But who played Coming Home?
P. Diddy. Puff Daddy. That's his song, Coming Home.
All right. I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, no, but,
You're not going to believe this.
He's got a real skill for bringing it back to The Rock. I appreciate it.
I'm starting to pick up on that as well.
I'm just talking about The Rock.
And you're looking more and more like Yukon Cornelius every single day. I'm going to make you carry a pick with you wherever you go.
Like a special weapon, like you would use in a no disqualification match, like The Rock.
Emmy, does your boyfriend work late?
Sometimes, yeah. I think mostly if it's a real hop-in Friday or Saturday night, he likes to bartend and talk to everybody.
So that keeps you guys almost on the same schedule.
Yes, it's really nice because if you date somebody who's got a 9 to 5, you're gone more like 5 to whatever, and this way we see each other.
That's good.
Yeah.
The whole thing too about moving in fast, I don't see what not doing that does for you anyway. You know what I mean? It's either going to work or it's not going to work.
Yes.
That's it.
I was also just in a very, I was in a sublet where I owned no furniture and I had 2 suitcases of stuff. So it was I either had to sign a lease and furnish a new place from scratch or bring my 2 suitcases over to this person's house. Yeah. So I've just been doing that, and I probably owe him a new set of sheets or something by now. But I've been using all his stuff.
Now, do you, does it feel comfortable moving in with him, though?
The only thing I say this in my act is I didn't realize how important it is to have a door. You need a door to slam if you're going to live with somebody.
Yeah.
And the place is open, so we can pretty much see each other no matter what corner of the place we're in.
Right.
And there's no hiding a fart in another room.
Yes.
It's just all the space and
So you
all
have
the
to
air
say,
is
hey,
shared.
we're all going to fart here.
Yes, all two of us are going to fart here.
Let's not act like some of us don't fart.
Well, he's like much cooler about it than I am. I still have this idea that like one day I'm going to rip one bad enough he'll leave me. That like somewhere deep in my system is like the atomic fart that will end our relationship. So I have just been kind of monitoring what's going to happen.
Instead of
That's crazy.
no, I love it. I love it that it's in the back of your head the whole time. Instead of talking about The Rock right now, please plug
Emmy's special is available right now on cc.com and it's streaming now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Almost a full year ago that you did this, 11 months ago. Which is always weird about TV, isn't it? They take forever to do everything.
And I don't know the exact reasons why, but I think I was sort of nervous because like I feel like the political climate has gotten so much more intense in the last year that like it almost seems strange to not talk about it at all. And that's just how it is.
Sometimes even bringing it up makes people tense up, like they don't know what side you're on.
Yeah.
You know?
Some people, I can't tell. I'm curious how you feel about this. Do you feel like audiences want to hear about it or do they want an escape? Because I've been going more toward the escape side.
I think they want an escape.
Yeah, it's much more fun for me, at least.
Yeah.
But I also understand that like we're considered the sane people now since nobody in the government is.
Well, I also think that it's interesting because I've been reading. Refinery 29 did something that was about the seller.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Like the woman went 5 days in a row and picked out. She loved Mateo. I think she loved Sam Morrill's joke. There was stuff that I know absolutely was Kevin Brennan, but she didn't say his name.
Oh, man.
But I hate it. You know, that type of thing. But I'm like, why is this considered the front lines of the Me Too? You know how many industries have Me Too problem?
All of them, literally all of them. I think it's just because you can see our names and faces,
right?
And we're very accessible people. But yeah, every single
the restaurant
industry.
business alone,
for sure,
alone,
yes.
So I don't know why it comes down to, hey, what are you guys going to do about this? What is everybody?
The answer is the same, I think, in most industries, which is just hire more women, hire more non-white people, just keep bringing in.
But let me say this:
one extra step out of your way to find someone who isn't a straight white guy.
As much as you want to say white guys, black guys do not have a great fucking track record with women. Neither do Hispanics. Neither do Asians.
I think we're talking about men.
Yes.
Yeah, seems like you've described men there.
That's the number one fucked up thing, including gay men. So, you know what I mean? Gay men are just with other gay men, but they're not any nicer than fucking straight men. Gay men can be vicious, and when it comes to body shaming,
that's true. Some of the most devastating insults I've ever weathered have come from gay men, but it's just because they're very good at it. I mean, the type of...
It's their industry.
And it's very similar to comedy that way. Like a good drag queen is as funny as a good comedian. So
you don't want any part of fucking lining yourself up against a drag queen.
I mean, I remember
they are too fast.
They're so fast, and like they commit much harder than comedians do. I mean, by the time you've like taped stuff to your boobs, like there's no being like, I don't feel like it. Well, you know, it's like you already left the house in like all these different types of pantyhose. You're fucking doing it.
Yeah, you are. And also, if you've had people insult you or fuck with you every day, you're bound to get better at it, you know.
That's true.
And even when I was young, I would tell people, don't give shit to any trans, well, we didn't say trans people, but that's what I'm saying now, because they will whip your ass because they had to fight every day of their life.
Yeah, they're tough as nails.
Yeah.
I'm remembering I went to a birthday party that was attended mostly by gay men. And when I showed up, one of them was like, "Which Goodwill did you get that skirt from?" And I was like, "Oh my God." Like,
it's true.
Just like, I haven't even gotten a drink yet and I have been burned to the ground.
That's what I think about the Oscars. Here, these people have done their work. They've tried so hard. And you see how nervous they are. Am I wearing the correct dress?
Yeah.
Did I lose the dress? And there's no straight men going, "Oh, this is terrible."
No, appearance is a much different game for men. So,
and you can be in a relationship, and the guy's never going to say, "Are you really carrying that bag? Are you wearing that tonight?" No one gives a fuck.
I rely on my boyfriend to say things like that to me so that I keep my eyes on the prize or whatever. Because otherwise, I feel like I would never leave the house if I was doing like, "Is this okay? Is that okay?"
Does he care?
No, and he's pretty good at, like, he'll say when something looks sloppy or whatever, but he's pretty good about, like, he's caught me looking at, I did Nikki Glazer's show like around the corner earlier today, and we were talking about the pressure to do like injections in your face and like surgery and things like that, and he's very good at like essentially slamming my laptop shut if I start looking at before and after photos.
So you've literally thought about that?
I think every woman who's had to see her face very large on a screen has been like, yeah, as soon as there's a billboard in Times Square with my face on it, and the first time I saw it, I was like, I wonder if I could get a nose job by this evening.
Oh, God. Instead of, "Oh, my God."
Right?
I'm in Times Square.
Our culture is sick, Ron.
Yes, it is. But I will say this. I think 99% of that comes from gay guys. Because if you're traveling around the country, you'll see the guys don't mind being outweighed by their wife. There's plenty of guys in this country who are with somebody who weighs as much as 100, 120 pounds more than them. And they don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know if I blame gay guys entirely. But
I do.
I mean, there are plenty of straight dudes too. I think it has to do also with everybody's getting photographed more than they used to.
Right.
And the internet, you can comment anonymously things you would never say to a person's face.
Terrible.
And so there's anything wrong with you, somebody with a Batman logo for an avatar will be like,
"Oh yeah,
go break your face."
You are right that the younger guys are way more concerned than my generation, because Vito is always bringing up something like, "You look at yourself," and I go, "Isn't the whole point of being a guy that you don't have to care?"
Yeah,
I
get focused on looks and focus on like working out and stuff. Like I follow The Rock on Instagram, and he just does this thing where he yells, "Focus, focus," and just go to the gym and just try your best. And I use that.
So
as
now
motivation.
we're blaming The
That's
Rock.
good. Yeah. You're blaming him for? Do you feel pressure to look like him?
I feel pressure to look like him. I feel like there's an unfair thing to look like The Rock, and I like follow his lifestyle and everything. But he is The Rock.
Well, don't you eat 35 ounces of steamed cheese every day?
I do. Steamed mozzarella.
It's much healthier than grilling the cheese. So, yeah. Steamed cheese.
Let's see. Steve wants to jump in. Hold on. Go ahead, Steve. You're on the air.
Hey, about a month ago, I saw Todd Barry try to put the moves on Emmy upstairs from the Comedy Cellar.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What did he do?
You were on your laptop at a different table. He was over at the other table, not talking to anybody. And as soon as you came in, he came in for the kill.
Oh man, Todd's a friend of mine. I don't feel like he's done anything like that.
I don't think that. I think if you wanted to go out with Todd Barry, you would have to approach him. I can't imagine.
Be like, would you mind leaving your shelter cat for an evening?
Is he one of your favorites?
I love him. Yeah.
He's such a great writer too.
Yeah,
such a bizarre writer.
He's a one of a kind person.
Who do you consider like your tribe? Who are your class?
I mean, Gary Goldman is my Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he's too good.
I think like the very specific Jewishness of his act, like it speaks to my heart and soul.
The first time that he told me that he had anxiety problems, I'm like, what are you? You're fucking like a good looking, incredibly tall writing genius.
Yeah.
If you can't be happy,
no one can be
happy now.
But yeah, I guess like he minds it really well. I mean, you feel it in all of the jokes. So
well, here's the difference between me and him. I will immediately go, That's done. I'm done with it. Where I watch him and I'm like, what is this, a fucking novel? My most embarrassing thing I might have done in my life was tried to find the documentary of the fucking initials thing and not realizing that he had made up that bit.
I didn't know he made the bit. Oh, wow.
There's no fucking documentary.
Oh, that's sickening. What a genius he is.
That, I'm like, what was the name of that again? I'm looking on IMDb. I'm like, that's weird. Did it not get a mass? Like, I went on too long.
Oh my God.
And then I said to somebody, I go, that documentary isn't real. And they're like, do you realize how crazy that even sounds that they would make a documentary about that? But that's how believable he was.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. Oh, and I have just recently gotten to know Colin Quinn a little bit, and
Genius.
he's a genius too.
Yeah, he's a genius.
And I have a soft spot for curmudgeons, so he inhabits that space well.
He I guess we'll have to wait until he gets hit by a truck before everybody goes, oh my God, let's look at all of his work. Because the last 3 or 4 specials in the book that he did, I mean, it's on another level.
Yeah, he's punching up textbooks.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking...
And people are just like accepting, like, oh, Colin's doing his thing, huh? Another one-man show. And I'm like, no, it's not that fucking easy.
I like, actually, both Gary and Colin, I feel like, do difficult things that where like Gary finds really mundane pockets, like very small moments of life, and makes them feel like huge moments of life, which is very hard to do. To make boring things interesting is hard to do. And then Colin makes history funny. His riffs on... The other night I saw him there was one line that I keep thinking about where he's like, I remember when if you wanted to debate politics, you couldn't do it in your underwear. And I keep thinking, like, that is like the defining joke of what's happening right now.
Right.
All these people that are causing problems and like, bullying each other and like traumatizing each other are in their underwear. None of this would be happening if you had to use your real name and your real face.
It is true. Like, my uncle used to yell at the TV all the time, but no one heard him but us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Now, is your uncle a commenter now?
Oh, no. He's just an old racist at this point. But at the time, he would be yelling about everything, and we'd be laughing, going, he's insane.
Yeah.
But somebody could read that now and not know him and see all the nutty and take it serious.
Right, and presume that his opinion is as valuable as somebody who's willing to put on pants.
Hilarious. By the way, in a roast, I saw Joe DeRosa say about Colin Quinn to him, me and my comedy friends sit around and laugh at you as you try to tell us about the history of the automobile. And I go, no, Joe. No, that's the fucking best shit being done today. And if Colin would have died from that heart attack, we would be talking about him the same way people talk about Patrice. We need you to die in this country before we will value you.
Emmy's special, her half-hour special is available right now on cc.com and streaming.
Thank you for I love the frequency and repetition of these plugs.
You're not going to get that on Nikki's show.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, Nikki does not bring it that way.
Just bring it.
She brought it. She brought it, but
not the plugs. You're going to get one when you come
interspersing
in, one when
plugs and talk about the rock. It's like you are truly it's music to my ears.
Why would you light that fire again?
I know my role.
Just calmed him down.
I know my role.
You're the first person who will discuss the rock with him, so he's a little off his game today.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like, what does the people's elbow mean to you?
Everything.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even that effective of a move.
No,
it's just an elbow drop.
No,
on like the head. But I mean the rock bottom. What more could you want? The Samoan drop.
What's the Samoan drop?
That's like where he like lifts somebody up and drops them.
Oh, all right.
Who else is he related to? What is it?
Roman Reigns. He's related to the head bashers. The
Alpha and Seeker.
Yeah. That's Roman Reigns' father.
Wait, which one?
What are their names?
Alpha and Seeker.
Alpha and Seeker were the Wild Samoans.
I think it's Alpha. I'm not sure though. But he's related to Rikishi. He's related to Rocky Maivia, his grandpa. He's related to this woman right now.
I just had a memory come to me, and I'm going to share this with you, Vito. So I had a guy producing my show in Miami when I was down there, and he was living with 2 women, and he was always like, you know, he was in a pansexual relationship. The 3 of them were in a relationship, and then one of the guys said to him on the show, "Why don't you just go home to Alpha and Seika and fucking tell them your problems?" Because they were 2 big girls, and he walked out and he never came back again. He was that mad.
Can we talk about the little handful of tiny cigars you've been holding this whole time?
Well, I'm going to be smoking these later. But see, here's the thing. People go, "Oh, you only like little cigars." But there's not, when I'm walking from one building to the next in New York, you cannot smoke a full cigar.
No.
So I like to have these smaller cigars. And so I can go, okay, I'm not throwing away a $28 cigar.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you relight a cigar, or is that tacky?
It is considered tacky, but the way I smoke a cigar is the same way as a guy who owns a junkyard. I don't wish to discuss. Like, people will come over all the time, "Oh, what kind of cigar is that? What is that?" I go, "Well, it's my own fucking business. I don't do this to discuss what I'm smoking with other people."
Fair enough. I relight joints sometimes, and Lisa Traeger has called that ridiculous before.
Well, you know what?
She's like, "Just finish it." I'm like, "I can't just smoke an entire joint in one sitting by myself."
Here's why: your fucking weed is too strong these days.
That is true.
People used to have plenty of weed to smoke at a gradual, fun, social thing. But this weed can crawl up on you too fast now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
smoking a joint by yourself? No.
I can't. No. It's funny. I was at a dispensary in LA a few weeks ago, and one of the options, they were like, "Here's all the modern weed that will, destroy you from the inside out. And here's the old people weed for like the 65 and up crowd. You have like one hit of this and you won't feel a thing."
Yeah. My in-laws have and they're well into their retirement years, and both of them just started smoking weed.
That's cool.
They had to get them off of Oxycontin and shit like that.
That's great, though. Isn't that a good solution?
Anything with them is not going to be cool. It's going to be annoying, no matter what they're doing.
Oh, are they?
They're old.
Okay,
and they're a
yeah.
pain in the ass.
Fair.
And very much Fox News people.
Oh.
So now we have Fox News people smoking weed.
I mean, that would make me paranoid. If I was, in some kind of adjustable bed, old, high, watching Fox News, I would think, I'd be scared of everybody.
They're smoking weed going like this. So the problem is the Mexicans, blacks, and gays got it.
Ugh.
Earl, rank them in dangers to white people. Number 1, still black after all these years. It was really funny. Yeah. Everybody that I know, like,
what is this question?
Fez thinks that everybody's against gays right now. Earl thinks everybody's against blacks right now. And all the women think that everybody's. It's just, how do white guys are their own majority? Oh, we got to go, Vito?
Yes, we have to go.
I guess we're not going to solve racism today.
We're almost there.
Oh, we almost had
Emmy
it.
Blotnick's been in studio. Her half-hour special is available and streaming on cc.com right now. And The Rock's movie Jungle Cruise comes out
Stop it,
October
asshole.
11th next year.
I am not kidding. Emmy is one of the funniest people working today. Every time I see her, I'm amazed. And thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That's it for us. The Robin Williams thing is out. David Steinberg told us about that. And we will see you guys tomorrow.